Phillies and the Brewers from Miller Park in Milwaukee. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, along with Mark Grace. Yes, the Phillies are in first place once again. It sounds somewhat redundant, but this Phillies team is in first place even with all the injuries they've sustained.
Charlie Manuel waving that magic wand again. There hasn't been a Rollins, there hasn't been a Ruiz, Lidge, Matson, you name it. They're having to patch things together in Philadelphia, but like you said, first place.
First place, Ryan Howard swung the half bat last night with a solo home run. Prince Fielder also homered for the Milwaukee Brewers. There's no doubt that both teams will come out swinging this afternoon. We'll see if the pitchers can slow things down when we return. The Phils and the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Leading it off at center field, Shane Victorino. Placido Polanco bats second. Chase Utley hits third, followed by the cleanup batter, Ryan Howard. Jason Worth is over in right field batting fifth. Raul Ibanez hits sixth. Wilson Valdez makes another start at shortstop for the injured Jimmy Rollins. Paul Hoover is the catcher today, batting eighth. And batting ninth and pitching is Joe Blanton. Well, this game is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the thirst inning. With full flavor and a crisp, clean finish, it's what we do. And the starting pitcher today for the Milwaukee Brewers is left-hander Chris Narveson, making his fourth start of the year. 3-0, though, as a starter, Gracie.
Yeah, he's been awfully good since Ken Maka decided, you know what, we need you in the starting rotation. He has taken the ball and run with it very well. His last two starts, only 4 earned runs in his last 2 starts, and we just said it. He's been much better. He struggled out of the bullpen, but he's been awfully good as a starter. He needs to go deep because this is a Brewer bullpen that really has struggled mightily this year.
Yeah, the Brewers have made a roster change. They've brought up John Axford from AAA to help out that bullpen. Well, here's the first pitch of the game to Shane Victorino, and it's taken low. So we're underway, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Victorino filling in for Jimmy Rollins as the leadoff batter. He leads all National League leadoff hitters with 23 RBIs from the top spot. Jimmy Rollins is due to come back Monday for the Phillies, and he played the first 6 games before injuring a calf muscle, and he's making a rehab start tonight down in the Florida State League. And then Victorino will drop down in the lineup. But he's done a pretty good job for them.
He's done a great job. He's a guy that can, well, first and foremost, he's a switch hitter, got great speed, he can drop bunts, and he's also hit 7 balls out of the park this year.
It's the 2-1 foul over the Brewers dugout, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Victorino is tied for 6th in the National League in RBIs with 28. And overall hitting .278 as the leadoff batter. He is tied with Niger Morgan of the red-hot Washington Nationals for the most triples in the league. 2-2 pitch. And he tried to hold his swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, says the first base umpire, Greg Gibson. 1 away here at the top of the first.
That's Narvison's cut fastball. He starts at middle in, and it just runs right in on the belly button of Shane Victorino, and he cannot hold up, according to Greg Gibson at first base.
Narvison, 28 years old, out of Wilmington, North Carolina. And he's facing Placido Polanco. Polanco overall hitting .299 on the season. He has been a great pickup by the Phillies. Umpires for today's ball game. Brian Knight is behind the plate. Greg Gibson's at first. Jerry Davis is the crew chief. He's at second, and Sam Holbrook's around at third. And Polanco shoots one right through the hole on the left side, so he's aboard here in the top of the first.
That is just vintage Placido Polanco, a guy that never tries to do too much with the baseball, got something he can handle, and just rifled it through the left side.
You know, a lot of teams worry about their leadoff hitter and making sure that they have a good one, but it's really important to have a good number 2 hitter, too.
You got that right. A guy that can, when Victorino or Rollins gets on base, a guy that can take a few pitches in case those guys want to try and steal. And it's also nice to get some guys on in front of the heart of the order for the Phillies.
Now, the heart of the order begins here with Chase Utley. Utley hitting .310 overall. He is 4th in the league in home runs with 9. This is just some strong hands last night, Gracie.
Amazing. Doesn't even finish his swing. And out she goes.
That shot bring back some memories from when you played and the Phillies were wearing those baby blues.
I remember. Yeah, I was going to say I had to play against the Phillies and those baby blues. Listening to Darren Dalton behind the plate yapping at me the whole time.
Just saw Randy Wolf, who was the starter last night for the Brewers, who wound up taking the loss in that ball game. Meanwhile, Jamie Moyer got the win for the Phillies. Wolf said last night that it was inexcusable how bad he was out on the mound, and he just has to do a better job.
And one thing you're always going to get from Randy Wolf is accountability.
0-2 the count to Utley. Utley has hit in 4 consecutive games. And he pulls that one right off the glove of Prince Fielder, and it trickles into foul territory. Polanco's going to get to third easily, and Utley hustling to second, and he's there standing. Runners on second and third right out of the gate.
Well, just a breaking ball that stays up in the strike zone. Prince does the best he can, but it goes over right over his glove or underneath his glove. And once again, Chase Utley right in the middle of a Phillies rally.
So 2 in scoring position for the Phillies here in the top of the first. And that'll bring Ryan Howard to the plate. Howard was 1 for 5 in last night's ball game, and that one was a long home run.
Long home run in his first at bat.
Howard overall with 228 career home runs, which is 5th most in Phillies history. And a fastball taken for a strike, and it's 0-1. Here's that home run we were talking about. That just sounded good off the bat of Ryan Howard.
I never had a bat make that kind of a sound. Andre Dawson did, Ryan Sandberg did, Sammy Sosa. Mine didn't sound like that.
A breaking ball that drops in for a strike, and it's no balls at 2 strikes. Ryan Howard sees mostly breaking pitches early in the count. If the pitcher gets ahead with those breaking pitches, he doesn't go to anything else but that.
And, well, that's the book on him. And he's just so dangerous. And now in 0-2, probably time to maybe bounce that breaking ball.
Just what he did. Yep. 1-2 the count. Let's take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by Ford.
Well, for the Philadelphia Phillies, Groundhog Day is, well, the heart of the order was really good against left-hander Randy Wolf last night. And, well, Chase Utley has doubled. Now it's up to Ryan Howard to try to become Groundhog Day here, do it again against the lefty Narveson.
Phillies got 2 runs in the first inning in last night's ball game. Went on to the victory. And with the infield playing back, Ryan Howard's just trying to hit a ground ball somewhere to bring Polanco home. I thought your key, too, about the Brewers was a good one. Back to the basics, because they did not play a clean game at all last night.
No, they really didn't. They made mental mistakes. They made physical mistakes, errors. And, you know, this Brewer staff is not good enough to pitch around miscues.
2-2 the count to Howard. We just saw Corey Hart out in right field, and he made a couple mistakes defensively. One on a ball coming in, and the other one on a ball over in the corner. And when you're going as bad as the Brewers have been at home, they're 4-12 here at Miller Park. I mean, things are accentuated when you make mistakes like that.
When you make physical mistakes or you make mental mistakes. Yeah, the Brewer pitching staff just isn't talented enough to pitch around errors.
2 balls, 2 strikes the count. And Howard tries to hold up. He can't. Boy, that one has some wicked movement on it. 2 strikeouts for Narveson in the inning.
That was the same cutter that got Shane Victorino, except against the left-handed hitter. You see it tail down and away from Howard. He could not hold up. So Narveson, an opportunity to pitch around a big mess here. He's going to have to go through a tough customer in Jason Worth.
Well, here's today's defensive lineup for the Brewers, brought to you by Scott's. Take a look at that outfield defense. Ryan Braun has really turned himself into a solid defensive left fielder. Prince Fielder, despite having that ball go off his glove, he's done a pretty good job over at first base. And Greg Zahn, picked up as a free agent. He catches most of the time for the Brewers. And they're going to do just what you said, Mark. They're going to work around Jason Worth here and walk him intentionally in the top of the first inning.
Well, when you're hitting 342 and you've got 27 RBIs, Ken Maka says, I'm going to go after Raul Ibanez, who's on deck. And Ibanez, a terrific hitter in his own right, but not near as dangerous early in the season as Jason Worth has been.
So that's intentional ball 4 to Jason Worth. So Ibanez is going to have the bases loaded with 2 outs here in the top of the first. There's ball 4.
Well, you don't see that in the first inning very often.
I think that's another indication of how much Ken Maka's team has struggled. And this is Ken Maka's second year here in Milwaukee. He was very successful with the Oakland A's, and he has his pitching coach from Oakland, Rick Peterson, who joined him this year here in Milwaukee. And it's been a tough road so far, particularly here at home.
Yeah, when you struggle to pitch, this is a very good offensive team, the Brewers, but they've been having to outscore people all year long.
Ibanez hit a home run in last night's ball game. And he takes one on the outside corner for a strike, and it's 0-1.
Just a gorgeous cut fastball right to the outside corner to jump ahead.
See Ibanez's career numbers with the bases loaded: 8 grand slams. And he tries to hold his swing there. No appeal from the home plate umpire, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
And after the first pitch, fastball on the outside corner at the knees. Come right inside and crowd Ibanez. It's a good 0-1 pitch.
Oh, now Ibanez behind, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Last night Ibanez hit a home run here at Miller Park, and it became the 30th ballpark in his career in which he's gotten a home run in. And if you ask him about it, he says, well, I've just been around for a long time.
That's the very humble man that Raul Ibanez is. It's kind of a nice little feather to have in your cap, though, isn't it? All those parts.
And he's one of 34 active players to have at least a home run in 30 ballparks. And he breaks his bat, hits one toward third. McGee's got it, and he throws across the diamond, and Narveson works out of a jam here at the top of the first. We'll wrap things up for Milwaukee as the Phils and the Brewers go to the bottom of the first. Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Leading it off at second base, Ricky Weeks. Craig Counsell, the 39-year-old, gets the start at shortstop. He'll bat second. Ryan Braun's in left field hitting third. Middle of the order, Prince Fielder at first, Casey McGee at third, and Jim Edmonds in center field. And then the bottom third are Greg Zahn, Corey Hart, and Chris Narveson facing right-hander Joe Blanton, who's making just his third start of the year, coming off the DL because of an oblique strain.
Yeah, that's tough as a pitcher. Anytime you get a strain in your side, your oblique, it's just it's cumbersome to overcome. And he's only on his third start. But against especially the left-handed hitters like Fielder, Edmonds, he's going to have to use his changeup and use it well, as that one's fouled back. And he's just trying to get through 6 innings. This being only his third start, he's trying to get through 6, trying to get Charlie Manuel as much as he possibly can.
Well, last week, Charlie saw Joe Blanton no-hit the Braves through the first 5 innings of his outing, and then he kind of got roughed up a little bit as he got weary. But he's quickly ahead, no balls and 2 strikes against Ricky Weeks here in the bottom of the first. Blanton has been a durable guy during his career, 63 and 56 lifetime, and he has really good numbers against the National League Central teams. He is 8-2 against the Central.
Now he's got a lot of guts. Even though he doesn't light up the radar gun at 95 miles an hour like it seems everybody does anymore, he still throws plenty of fastballs. He doesn't fear the great hitters. He doesn't fear throwing strikes to the great hitters. He'll go right after them.
There's that changeup. We talked about it. He gets Weeks to pop it foul behind home plate. So the count holds 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That is a very good changeup Joe Blanton has. Ricky Weeks just barely able to nick it foul.
The last night of the Phillies' victory, the Brewers 1, 2, and 3 hitters struggled against not only the Phil's starter Jamie Moyer, but also their bullpen. They were 1 for 13 against the Phil's staff last night.
Yikes.
Now, Craig Counsell wasn't in the lineup, but he's in there today. The 1-2 pitch. Fastball high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. I guess if you're Jamie Moyer, you think about last night's ball game, your 5th win of the year, your 263rd career victory at the age of 47. There's a good pitch. Foul tipped into the glove of Hoover. 1 away here in the first.
Yeah, with Jamie Moyer, he hates to pitch in night games because it's past his bedtime.
Here's today's defensive lineup for the Phillies, brought to you by Scott's. Now this outfield for the Phillies, all 3 made the All-Star team last year in the National League. Meanwhile, Chase Utley has turned himself into a very good defensive second baseman, despite the fact that he had 2 errors last night. Paul Hoover is catching today for the injured Carlos Ruiz, who the Phillies think could be available if need be, but probably will not play until tomorrow or possibly Monday. Here's Craig Counsell, who's making his 9th start of the year. And he chops one over towards second base. An easy play for Utley. 2 outs. So 2 away. How about this, Gracie? Little baseball etiquette by Chase Utley. As he goes out to his position, he doesn't go anywhere near the middle of the infield dirt because he doesn't want to put any crevices where the ball might bounce.
There he is. But that's where he plays. That is very interesting. Yeah, he doesn't want to get any spike marks where he is. And I was always a big believer in housekeeping over at first base myself, because that's where everybody takes their leadoffs and whatnot. You gotta fix those spike marks, do some housekeeping. You don't want to take any ground balls right in the teeth.
Well, if you look at the dirt around first base, there's a lot of footprints all over. Around second base, there's some, but there's really none in front of where Chase is standing at second base. Look how clean that is. It's not one of those baseball unwritten rules. I think that's just a Chase Utley
It's just the way he does it. It's his little quirky thing.
Ryan Braun is the hitter, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes to Braun, who went fishing for a high fastball there.
That high fastball just right up in the eyeball area. It just looks so good, and it's so hard to lay off. Blanton so far very sharp here early.
Rollins in the air to left center field. Pretty well hit, but there's plenty of room out there. Victorino at the warning track, and he makes the catch. Nothing across for the Brewers here in the bottom of the first. A scoreless game as we go to the second. Bell, think outside the bun by the all-new 2011 Super Duty, built Ford tough. And by Pepsi, refreshed projects, thousands of ideas, millions in grants. Hey, want to see your name on air? We'll play MLB on Fox. Tune in to win. Now on foxsports.com/tunein. Make your predictions during today's game between the Phillies and the Brewers. Hurry up. Your predictions must be submitted by the end of the second inning. Stick around to increase your chances of winning with the 7th inning bonus question. Winners will be announced on air during the 9th inning. Log on to foxsports.com/tunein to play now. Wilson Valdez leads things off here in the top of the second. And they count 1 ball and 1 strike to Valdez. Wilson Valdez and Juan Castro have both filled in for Jimmy Rollins at shortstop. Jimmy's been out since the 7th game of the season. There's that strained calf muscle. And quite honestly, Valdez and Castro have done some pretty good work over at shortstop.
Yeah, they have. They're very athletic over there. He's fouled back. Valdez starting to get that opposite field stroke. He was what we call in offensively, he was in pull mode. He was trying to pull everything, and all he kept pulling the ball into was double play balls. 5 straight games of hitting into a double play.
It's amazing. The last 2 games, though, he's got 2 hits in each of the games the opposite way. There's Castro to your left. Castro is probably a better defensive shortstop. Valdez has a better arm. And both have done what they can do offensively for this club in the absence of Rollins.
And it's once again, we were talking about it earlier, it's just Charlie Manuel waving that magic wand, piecing together lineups, piecing together his bullpen. Oh, by the way, they're 8 games over 500.
Change up by Narveson, pulled foul right past Sam Perlazzo in third base coach's box. Well, Charlie has said over and over again, Mark, and I don't know if you agree with this or not. He said, listen, these guys are in the major leagues. Then they have to have ability to play. And if they need to play every day, I got to run them out there. I mean, they're major league players, so there has to be something to them. So that's where the trust comes from.
Yeah, they wouldn't be here if they weren't good baseball players, great baseball players.
Now, to that, I always say, you've got to have a lot of trust. I mean, because if you think about not having Jimmy Rollins, that's a huge piece to the puzzle that's not available.
Yeah, he's the leader of your club. So that you not only miss his play physically, but you miss him in the clubhouse as well.
Out in front of that changeup, but he pops it to shallow center. Ricky Weeks calls everybody off. And Valdez, who fouled off 4 straight balls before that fly ball, is retired. We mentioned that the Phillies have had a number of players on the disabled list. Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Matson, who's out probably till the All-Star break. Jay Happ threw today, and they're hoping to get him back sometime in the next couple of weeks. And then Brian Schneider also ran today, and they're hoping to get him back very soon. Now those are the guys that are just on the DL.
Just on the DL, exactly. Not the nicked up guys.
Here's Paul Hoover. Had a base hit in last night's game.
And because of those injuries, it's guys like Paul Hoover that get their opportunity to play at the big league level. Try to impress their skipper.
Hoover was hitting .269 down in AAA when he was called up when Brian Schneider was put on the DL. Scored a couple of runs in yesterday's game, originally drafted by the Devil Rays in 1997. Yes, they were called the Devil Rays at that time. 1-1 the count to Hoover. Opposite way, a looper into right field, a base hit. The third hit of the day for the Phillies against Narveson.
Well, that's all it takes right there. If he's going to throw you a little change up away, just go ahead and flip it to the right side. That was nicely done by Hoover. That's going to give Joe Blanton an opportunity to bunt him over here with one out in the second inning.
Blanton just 3 official at-bats since coming off the DL, 1 for 3. A lifetime 119 hitter.
But a big home run in the World Series.
That's right. He bunts that one to the right of the plate. Zahn's going to try for second. He sails it right into center field. And that's been one of the issues for the Brewers. Not being able to convert defensively during key moments of the ball game.
No, that's a non-veteran play right there by Zahn. You've already got one out. You don't necessarily need that force play. It didn't look like even a good throw would have had him. They're giving you an out right there. Go ahead, throw it to first base. There's 2 outs. It takes a base hit to score you. You're not going to turn the double play there, so go ahead and take your out, especially when there's already one out.
The reaction by Willie Randolph, who's Ken Maka's bench coach, as he floated his lips there. I mean, is exactly what you're talking about, because he probably felt the same way. Get the out at first.
Just get the out.
Well, back to the top of the order. Here's Victorino. It takes one for a strike.
Now what you've done is opened up the door for a possible big inning. Now with Shane Victorino, sure, he's got the ability to drive that one run in, but it's just one run. Now all of a sudden, because of the extra out, you've given a very good offensive club in the Phillies. Now, you know, a 3 is a possibility here.
That one's hit sharply right under the glove of Counsell into center field. Hoover's heading home. The throw by Edmonds is way offline, and the Phillies take a 1-0 lead. 29th RBI of the year for Victorino, his 24th from the leadoff spot.
Fastball driven right back up the box. Craig Counsell gives it his best effort. He can't come up with it. And Hoover, a big old catcher, running pretty well. I like watching those catchers try to score on base hits. I mean, he was picking them up and putting them down.
Jim Edmonds, an 8-time Gold Glover. I don't think he had any chance of getting anybody at home plate there. So 2 runners on, 1 away. The Phillies have taken the early lead. Here's Polanco, who singled his first time up. And Polanco takes one inside, 1-0.
How about a leadoff hitter? Shane Victorino with 29 RBIs.
Think about his on-base percentage, which is hovering right around 300 as a leadoff batter. You know, people scoff at that at times, but when you're that productive,
exactly,
it sort of negates it.
Yeah, if you're driving them in, well, maybe it's not that important that you be on base. Go ahead and just drive them in.
1-1 the count to Polanco. When Jimmy Rollins comes back on Monday, Victorino will probably slide back down to the number 6 or 7 spot in this Phillies lineup. He was in the number 7 spot before Rollins got hurt. And a foul ball, and it's 1-2.
Once again, Narveson trying to pitch around that extra out. 1 run already across. Now you're trying like heck if you're Narveson to keep the damage at a minimum.
Yeah, the official score did not charge an error to Greg Zahn. He scored it a sacrifice and a fielder's choice. But it was certainly
in my book, I think you have to give an error because Blanton got to first somehow.
That's where he's got the fielder's choice down, but I agree with you. One and two the count to Polanco with two aboard. And he pulls that one foul. Chris Narveson started the season in the bullpen for the Milwaukee Brewers. He had a very good spring. He did not allow a run in any of his appearances in spring training. 13 innings overall. And Ken Maka and Rick Peterson were trying to decide when Jeff Suppan got roughed up in his 2 outings to begin the year, what would be better for Narveson? A guy that's, you know, not an overpowering pitcher, being in the bullpen, or stretching him out as a starting pitcher, and that's one of the reasons why they moved him into the rotation.
I think he's their best option right now. They've also got Manny Parra out there in the bullpen, a very talented left-hander.
Well, they have every hope that Chris Capuano, who is another talented lefty, will be back from Tommy John surgery real soon. There's Manny Parra, who is in the middle of his shot there, showing the changeup grip. Capuano threw 8 scoreless innings at AAA last night and is 3-0 with an earned run average of just under 1 in his rehab starts. Jeff Suppan is to your left, having a little snack in the bullpen.
Got to pass the time somehow out there.
Fastball cut on and miss. That's a good pitch by Narveson, raising the eye level of Polanco. And 2 away here in the second. Hey, next week it's a Fox Saturday Baseball primetime special as interleague play begins with the Yankees taking on the Mets in a showdown between crosstown rivals, or the Cubs battling the Rangers. The Red Sox take on the Phillies, or the Tigers square off against the Dodgers. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser returns next week at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And catch This Week in Baseball at a special time. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. So interleague play is upon us.
Here we go again. Are you a fan of interleague play?
I don't mind it if it has parameters. I think sometimes there's a little bit too much of it. I kind of like when the National League faces, let's say the National League East faces the National League Central more than 2 times a year, or the National League West more than 2 times a year.
I agree with you. I used to be a doubter of interleague play. It's starting to grow on me a little bit.
I certainly think it's spiced up some things in the game.
For instance, I love the fact that, you know, the Mets and the Yankees play, or the Phillies and the Yankees play, or the Cubs and the White Sox, the two Texas teams, Houston and the Bay Area. That's great stuff, but I still don't think there's a whole lot of glitz and glamour to, you know, Twins Diamondbacks, or how about A's Astros, something like that. So I think there's got to be a way to get it a little spicier as far as rivalries are concerned.
Well, I like the matchup next weekend between the Phillies and the Red Sox, because there's that
That's
buzz
great stuff, exactly.
Always at Citizens Bank Park, and you figure the Red Sox always bring the Red Sox Nation into Philadelphia. I mean, there's a lot of excitement surrounding that, and the fact that the Phillies will return the favor and go to Boston later on this year.
Narveson didn't get that call. Pretty close pitch. That is a situation where the fella in the batter's box, his name is Chase Utley, and the fella on the mound, well, he's a youngster. His name is Chris Narveson. That's why that was called ball 2.
So 2-2 the count to Utley. 25th pitch of the inning for Narveson, and a breaking ball lifted in the air deep to right field. Hart going back into that well, and it's off the base of the wall, and it shoots over the fence. Somehow on an angle it hopped over the fence, as Utley's at second with an RBI double. Victorino's going to have to go back to first, and the Phillies lead it 2-0.
Second double of the day. Utley takes a breaking ball, and there's that little short swing again. Hart just ran out of room, and it took a funny hop, and really the Philadelphia Phillies got a bad break there, and on the other end, Milwaukee got a good break because Victorino could have easily scored on that ball.
I agree with you on that one. If that ball had just tipped the top of the wall, Victorino would have been in standing.
Exactly. And remember, Tom, that error allowed for one extra out, and look what happens. Chase Utley makes the Brewers pay.
And it also gives Ryan Howard a chance, although first base is open. And Howard takes a pitch low, 1-0. Howard struck out his first time up. And Rick Peterson's going to head out to the mound to talk to Chris Narveson.
You just can't emphasize enough when you're going up against a perennial playoff team like the Philadelphia Phillies. You just cannot give them extra outs. Charlie Manuel is coming out right now, and he's having a conversation with plate umpire Brian Knight just about that play out in right field, wondering if maybe that shouldn't have been called a ground rule double because it hits Corey Hart, and then it bounces. It looks like it might have hit his knee.
You know, that makes sense because it was such an odd angle. I was wondering how it did shoot over the fence the way it bounced.
And I think right now the crew chief is Jerry Davis. He's the second base umpire, but it looks like Charlie probably lost the argument.
Yeah, Corey Hart's showing Ryan Braun and Jim Edmonds exactly what happened. He's saying that he kicked it over the fence, not on purpose.
Right. And Charlie's thinking
that's an extra run.
Maybe Victorino should be across the dish.
1-0 the count to Howard, and a swing and a miss at a breaking ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Ryan Howard a couple weeks ago signed a long-term extension with the Phillies. Let's take a look at this play one more time.
Yeah, it looked like it got his left foot and then caromed over. Just something else you don't see very often.
Little number, and that's going to be a foul ball. Zahn tried to sell it, and it's 1-2. He's almost trying to keep his body in fair territory and get the home plate umpire Brian Knight to maybe buy into that illusion.
Keep those feet in bounds.
Victorino's at third, and Utley's at second. 1-2 the count to Howard. And 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, those extra pitches now that Narveson's having to throw. He's up to 53 pitches already. 24 in the first, 29 here in the second. I just can't emphasize enough just how badly the Brewers need to play fundamentally sound baseball.
Ryan Howard tries to hold his swing again, and for the second straight at bat, he cannot. He's down on strikes. The Phillies score 2. They take a 2-0 lead into the bottom. Balls presented by Budweiser with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish. It's what we do. Oh, from Miller Park here in Milwaukee, nice sized crowd again. Boy, they have really drawn well in recent years here at Miller Park. Over 3 million fans in 2008. And it looks like they're continuing to come through the gates, and this is a near capacity crowd, and one of the big reasons why is because of the big man at the plate right now.
No question. The recent success of the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewer fans should be proud of themselves. They really show up. They show up every day, and they love their Brewers.
Prince Fielder hit his 5th home run last night, and it was a mammoth shot. 462 feet. And we've seen some long home runs hit by Prince Fielder, and that one was a long one.
Good change up there on 2-1 for the called strike. And another one.
Yeah, swinging a foul tip into the glove of Hoover. Second strikeout for Blanton.
We were talking about the keys for Blanton. That changeup is so important to the left-handed hitters like Counsell, Fielder, Jim Edmonds. That's his equalizer. And you can see just how far out in front Fielder was on that changeup.
Well, so he's retired. One away here at the bottom of the second. And here's Casey McGee. What a start McGee has had to this year. 32 runs batted in, his second most in the National League to Andre Ethier. Ethier's leading every Triple Crown category right now. But McGee, he's cleaning up where Prince Fielder has struggled at times.
Exactly. Everybody talks about Braun, Fielder, and they forget about Casey McGee, who is just quietly putting up a monster year.
Last year, McGee finished 5th in the National League Rookie of the Year balloting. And a breaking ball drops in on the outside corner. And it's 1-2.
Well, the Brewer organization, Tom, is if you can hit, we're going to bring you up here and we're going to play you.
And another strikeout for Blanton. So 2 outs here in the second. That's his 3rd strikeout. That was just all about placement right there.
Exactly. Kept it right down at the knees with a little bit of sink on it there, Tom. Watch the bottom fall out of that fastball. Right over the top of it goes McGee. Nearly screwed himself into the ground.
He's taking a look at the batter's box like a fielder would take a look at his glove when he makes an error.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what you did when you struck out. Look, oh, man, I slipped.
Here's Jim Edmonds, and Edmonds takes a pitch on the inside corner.
If I hadn't slipped, I'd have hit that one hard.
Edmonds, a .283 hitter, missed all of last year, and signed a contract, a free agent contract with the Brewers during the offseason, and made this ball club out of spring training. He may have hurt his hip there.
Well, Jimmy's always kind of had the thespian in him. But what a great player he's been.
Well, Ken Maka, when he was a coach with the LA Angels, was the pitch before where he may have hurt himself. As we said, he came up grabbing his hip. Ken Maka was with the Angels as a coach for a long time. Jim Edmonds was part of the Anaheim Angels. He just reaches out, puts some wood on it. Chase Utley's got it, and another 1-2-3 inning for Joe Blanton. 2-0 Phillies will return to Milwaukee after a word from your local Fox station. Budweiser. Game 2 of a 3-game series. Jason Worth leads it off here in the top of the 3rd. Worth was intentionally walked his first time up. Phillies lead it 2-0. Chris Narvison's pitch count is building, so he needs a clean inning. Mark, you were always a guy that had a good eye at the plate. The Phillies as a team this year have done a very good job of running up the pitch count of the opposing team's starter and getting into their bullpen. And today, as Narvison tosses this 0-2, that's his 57th pitch.
And that's a big reason of why this offense, not only this year but in years past, has been so successful. It is because, yeah, you've got some guys that strike out. Like Ryan Howard strikes out an exorbitant amount of times. But you've also got guys this year like Placido Polanco, Jimmy Rollins, guys that well, they do a good job of making the pitcher throw strikes. Is that sky to right? Hard to make the play, but it's so simple, Tom, but yet it's difficult to do, because if you can just take the balls and swing at the strikes, it's amazing how much longer you'll be around. But it's difficult to do because these pitchers are so good at making balls look like strikes and vice versa that it's difficult to do. But the Phillies do a great job of taking those close pitches, getting in good hitting counts, and then hammering you.
Ibanez grounded out to end the first inning, and he takes one a little low. 1 ball and no strikes. Ibanez last year had 34 home runs and 93 RBIs. Fastest player in Phillies history to 20 home runs. He had surgery to repair a sports hernia during the offseason, and that seemed to slow his progression down and his workout routine. So he's still kind of catching up to things.
So there's a couple of pitches that Ibanez takes for balls that a lot of other players at this level have already grounded out to second by now, and Narvison's in cruise control.
Ibanez lays off that low pitch, so he runs the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes. I guess that's the key, is to put yourself in good hitting counts.
And the way to do that is to have the ability to lay off those close pitches like Ibanez has done in this at-bat.
And he takes one there. That's another close pitch. Ball 4, and he's aboard with 1 out here in the 3rd. Here's today's Mercedes-Benz trivia question. Who are the only 2 Phillies pitchers to hit a postseason home run? Only 2 Phillies pitchers to hit a postseason home run.
Well, we mentioned one already this afternoon.
Did give that hint before, but there is a second one that's, I think, going to be a little tougher for folks to get. Wilson Valdez, the batter. He popped out to second his first time up. Valdez making his 10th start at shortstop. This is a guy who won a Gold Glove this past winter ball season playing in the Dominican Republic. And he was also a member of the Dominican Winter League All-Star team at shortstop. And that's saying a whole lot, because there's some pretty good players that are playing winter ball.
There's some big talent down there in the Dominican Winter Leagues.
Went to spring training with the Phillies and didn't make the club out of spring training, but after Jimmy Rollins was injured, he was called up to be the backup to Juan Castro. Then Castro injured the side of his knee, and that's when Valdez stepped into the starting lineup, and he's been there pretty much ever since. Two and 1 the count to Valdez. The Phil's hitters have looked at 9 straight pitches.
Hence the pitch count up near 70 now here in the third inning.
That's a strike of the knees, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And there's a lot to be said about working the count, Tom, but that's a 2-0 fastball and a 2-1 fastball right down the middle. And you just stand there. Those were 2 very good pitches to maybe whack in the gap.
Yeah, it wasn't like the 2-1 changeup that Ibanez took, because it was a changeup. And those are 2 pretty good pitches. And he reaches out and pulls one toward the hole at shortstop. Tough play for Counsell. In time to get Ibanez. Yeah, Craig Counsell really made a nice play to get to that ball and still have enough on it to nail Ibanez at second.
Well, Craig Counsell, only his 9th start, but every time Ken Maka writes his name in the lineup, Craig Counsell finds a way to help you win baseball games. That's a good call there by Jerry Davis, just ahead of the sliding Raul Ibanez. Counsell finds a way to do something every game to make a difference.
It says a lot that he's been able to stick around as long as he has. He's won 2 World Series titles, one with the Marlins, one with you at the Diamondbacks.
And he's not the most talented player out there, but every good team needs a player like him.
Here's Hoover, who singled his first time up, and a good pitch by Narveson to get him out in front. No balls and 1 strike. Number 8 hitter in this Phillies lineup. And if you are pitching in the National League, one of the keys to being a successful pitcher is to be able to retire the number 8 hitter and, of course, the number 9 hitter, which, unless it's Tony La Russa, is usually the pitcher. Narveson won his last start, in which he struck out 8 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That was the last time the Brewers won a game. They've lost 4 straight here at home. If you look at their numbers, they've won 11 games on the road, which is pretty impressive.
Very good.
But to be just 4-12 here at home, it's their worst start at home since 1985.
And this has always been a place where the Brewers just made their hay. I mean, they would hammer opponents when they'd come in here. Fans get rowdy. They're playing in front of sellouts just about every day.
Well, Ken Maka has been trying to figure out with his coaching staff what the formula has been. Why have they struggled so much? And a lot of it is because their starters aren't going deep, and the bullpen has given up a lot of runs in relief. I guess there's really no formula. As Zahn made a very nice play on that grab. There's really no formula to say how and why a team struggles at home.
It doesn't make any sense.
But there's a lot of that going on, a lot of scratching of the head. Prince Fielder said in the papers the last couple of days that, you know, it's got to stop. As Hoover lines one foul down the left field line.
Almost got a nice grab down the line. Got to get the fans to be fundamentally sound here as well.
That guy knew he had those seats. He should have brought his glove. It's even 2 balls and 2 strikes to Hoover. It's the old adage, Mark, that they say to play 500 on the road and play well above 500 at home, and you should have a successful year.
You will have a very successful year. It's difficult to play 500 on the road.
Call strike 3. Pretty pitch by Narveson right on the inside part of the plate. Phil Strand 1. We've played 2.5 here in Milwaukee. As we head to the bottom of the third, and switch hitting Greg Zahn leads things off. Joe Blanton's faced 6. He's retired all 6, and he delivers a fastball for a strike. Zahn, a .258 hitter, a couple home runs, 13 RBIs. He had a terrible start to the year. He was 0 for his first 21. But it's not a terrible start anymore, as he has the Brewers' first base hit of the afternoon. So he's aboard to start the third. Well, between innings, we talked to Rich Dewey, the pitching coach of the Phillies, and the first question we asked Rich was how much he's liked Joe Blanton so far and what he's seen from him.
Well, Joe's solid right now. I mean, his angle and everything downhill, changing speeds, got his changeup going, which is good to see. So hopefully he can maintain that type of stuff.
Hey, Rich, what was your take and Charlie's take on that play in right field, what was called the ground rule double?
Well, we found out that he kicked off his foot, and you know, it was unintentional, so it was a ground rule double anyways. So we weren't sure whether it hit his foot or not and how it caromed off.
Rich, I know you've had to deal with a lot of injuries with the bullpen so far this season. How do you think your guys have fared, even with Brad Lidge and Ryan Matson and J.C. Romero all having stints on the DL?
Well, they're holding it together. We've gotten big mileage out of Contreras and Baez right now, and Durb's done a good job. And you know, for a young kid, Herndon's come in and gotten us some big double play balls and ground balls. So right now we're holding it together.
All right, Rich, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks,
good luck,
guys.
Rich.
Thank you.
I think it's great that you asked him that question about his take on the Corey Hart play, because as the pitching coach, he wants Joe Blanton to get another run.
Doggone right.
1-2 the count to Corey Hart. Well, here's the play we're talking about. Chase Utley sent one in the air to right field, and it was over the head of Corey Hart. The umpires don't have the advantage of looking at a replay, but the ball hit off the fence, hit his foot, and shot over the fence. Broke his bat toward third. Polanco may start 2. Utley at second. There's 2 over to first. It's a 5-4-3 around the horn double play for Joe Blanton.
Well, just nicely turned. First, let's take a look at Corey Hart. Defensively, off the wall, off the foot. Out she goes.
And Greg Gibson had a conversation with Ed Cedar, who's the first base coach of the Brewers, and you know, they kind of got into the discussion.
Goes on the wall and hits Corey and goes out. What do the base runners get? Is that considered 1+1?
No, ground rule. No, 1+1. There's nothing in the rule book. 2-base rule.
Yeah.
It's either a 2-base award, 3-base award, or 4-base award.
Okay.
That would be a 2-base award.
Okay.
There's a big thing about there's a 1+1.
Yeah.
I've never seen anywhere in the rule book that says 1+1.
But I know if the fielder makes a bad throw, you get 2. But mine just consider that always 1+1.
Everybody always throws that 1+1 out there. My sons are playing.
Yeah.
My sons are playing baseball now, and I always hear that. Well, it's 1+1. Where's that?
I'm not sure
stuff.
if Greg Gibson, if he watches his sons play, if you know, he steps in if there's a rules infraction in a Little League game. And Joe Blanton with a ground ball to second. Chase Utley takes care of Narveson. Blanton's faced the minimum. He is cruising right now.
34 pitches.
Pretty impressive. Budweiser is sponsored by Scott's, official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. By Valvoline, guarantee your engine up to 300,000 miles. And by One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specifically formulated for men. Mentioned that the Phillies have taken a 2-0 lead in RBIs by Shane Victorino and Chase Utley. We also mentioned that Jim Edmonds may have tweaked his hip in his at-bat, and Jody Garrett is going to take over in center field for the Brewers. We'll try to get an update on Edmonds as quickly as we can, as Chris Narveson deals to Joe Blanton to start the top of the 4th inning. Blanton has scored a run so far today, and the count is quickly 0 balls and 2 strikes to him. Blanton's first plate appearance, he tried to sacrifice Paul Hoover up to second. Greg Zahn picked up the ball, threw to second, but he threw it right into center field, and everybody was safe, and the Phillies went on to score 2 runs. There was no error charged to Zahn, but it certainly didn't help Narveson, and it benefited the Phillies and extended the life of that inning. 1-2 pitch to Blanton, and a call, strike 3.
Well, that's a nice breaking ball Narveson throws.
There's Jim Edmonds. That's the play we were talking about in his at bat where he fouled the ball off, and he
right in the ribs, maybe like some rib cartilage or maybe an oblique, something like that.
The Brewers are already without Carlos Gomez. He's on the disabled list, so it's not going to help at all to have another outfielder go down. So 1 away here in the top of the 4th. Shane Victorino is the hitter. And it is our pleasure as Victorino stands in to welcome in as Victorino sends one in the air to left. Ryan Braun heading back. He has room. He makes the catch. Joining us is Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Uecker, who on April 30th had heart surgery. And we saw Bob yesterday here at the ballpark, and he is recovering well. And Uecker, I have to say, it was great to see you, and it was great to see you in such great health yesterday when you visited Miller Park.
Well, it was great to be out there, guys, and that was a big kick for me. It was 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago yesterday when I had the surgery, and it was my first time back, and that's always it's a kick to be around the ballpark. You guys know that, and it's what I've done for so long, and it's a place where I'm supposed to be at that particular time of the day. And it was great to be out there yesterday, and I'm checking you guys out here today too.
Well, it's not the same coming up here to the broadcast booth and not seeing you, pal.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, Gracie?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Doctor said everything's going well, though. You feeling good, and you're getting a chance to walk a couple miles every day?
Yeah, actually, I'm dodging cars in my neighborhood is what it boils down to. Some of these people are upset at me. I didn't know that. Yeah, but the surgery went well, guys. The people at Freighted Hospital here were outstanding. The doctors and the nursing staff and everybody else. And I'm well on my way back. I really am. The doctors are telling me that it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, but I'm going to try and make it a little quicker than that. But I can see where you have to sit back a little bit and wait on this stuff.
Are you going to be able to come back to Miller Park and partake in the menu here at
you guys, Gracie, you know that.
The bill of fare here. It's the best food in the world. It's the best food in the world here. You kidding me?
Man, are you kidding me? Gee, sure. You bet.
Well, I thought the outpouring, Uecker, of well wishes, and not only from the folks here in Milwaukee who love you so much, but all around the country, it's just been unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was, and it's it's kind of surprising. You don't really pay much attention to that stuff until something like this happens, but I guess from all the other stuff that I've done, the film stuff and the commercials and stuff like that, it's you become kind of a part of Americana, so to speak, but it's still surprising when the notes and the letters and the cards come from overseas and every place else. I wrote a lot of them myself, but so what? They all count.
It must have cost you an awful lot on postage.
Well, I use postage at the ballpark.
Well, Chase Utley's at bat. The count is 0 balls and 2 strikes to Chase. And, Uecker, we watched publicly when David Letterman went through surgery several years ago and how close he became with the surgeons who were involved in this operation. I want to ask you about that when we come back. Chase Utley just grounded out to Prince Fielder to finish up this inning. Bob Uecker joining us here at Miller Park. We'll talk more with you when we return. Well, we start the bottom of the fourth inning. Ricky Weeks takes the first pitch and lines it to center. So 1 out in the bottom of the fourth. And we've been talking to Bob Uecker, the great Hall of Fame announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers. And a tremendous personality. Uecker, who had surgery on April 30th, is recovering nicely. And Uecker, I was asking you about your relationship with your doctors. It seemed yesterday that your surgeons and you have established a pretty good relationship since this took place.
Well, yeah, they have one idea of when I'm coming back, and I have another. But we've become pretty close over the last couple of weeks, and they did a great job, T. And where are you without those guys in the first place? I would have probably went on that last road trip, but they're the ones that talked me out of it and talked me into getting this procedure done, instead of having to worry about it when we were on that West Coast trip.
Yeah, let's talk a little baseball. Let's talk about your Brewers. What's your take on your 2010 version this year?
Well, Gracie, they're a run-scoring club, and as you've mentioned, your pitching takes you as far as you're going to go. But if this was later in the season, if this was August or September, you'd be a little concerned. But I'm not concerned about these guys. It's early in the season, and there's other clubs that are going to make a run yet, too, that aren't playing all that well. But this club can score runs, and they're a good club, too. A good group of guys and a club that's going to score.
Well, we've watched that through the first 6 weeks of the season, too, Ueck, and you've been around this game for more than 50 years, and, pitching is the name of the game.
Yeah. And with Gallardo, and the guy, I tell you what, I like the guy today. Chris Narvison's, he's not one of those guys that's overpowering, but he knows what he's doing. He's got good breaking stuff, and he's one of those guys that's going to help you. He's pitched well for the club. He's not pitching all that bad here today.
No, I agree with that. Well, you continued good health, and it's been great talking to you. It was great seeing you yesterday, and we hope to see you behind the microphone and at the ballpark really soon.
Guys, thanks a lot. It was nice being with you guys. You bet. Thanks.
Bob Uecker, the longtime radio voice of the Milwaukee Brewers and the holder of many famous funny lines in this game. He was a catcher during his career in the big leagues. Ryan Braun with 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth, and
I'm sure I'm going to ask you an obvious question, but did you see his induction to the Hall of Fame, his speech?
I did. I thought it was eloquent, but I also thought it was one of the funnier things that I've heard.
Probably the best speech I've ever seen and heard.
I love the line where he said that he thought that he should have been in as a player, and he always is tongue-in-cheek about his playing abilities, but he has been a great personality for the game of baseball. 1, 2, 3, go the Brewers. We played 4 here at Miller Park. Phillies still hanging on to a 2-0 lead. Top of the 5th inning, Chris Narveson's about to throw his 87th pitch of the day. In comparison, Joe Blanton has thrown just 43 through the first 4. And Ryan Howard, who has been a strikeout victim his first 2 times up, is down in the count. No balls and 1 strike. And a good fastball by Narveson at 88 miles per hour, and it's 0-2.
Tell you what, so far he has absolutely carved up the dangerous Ryan Howard. I mean, perfect pitch after perfect pitch.
We talked about his success against lefties this year. Left-handers came in hitting just 175. But Mark, if they ever were to put him back in the bullpen, that doesn't always dictate success, because look at the number of pitches that he's thrown to get into this 5th inning. A lot of times it takes more than, than what he can throw to get a guy out. I mean, he may, he tinkers a little bit.
I think you're right. And you can see he's also facing a lineup that really knows how to make you work. You see even Howard, who strikes out a lot, taking a couple of close pitches, working that count, adding to the pitch count, laying off the close ones. Now, all of a sudden, because it looked to me like Narveson is trying to strike Ryan Howard out rather than get him out. Now he's gone from 0-2 to 3-2.
Ryan has been behind in all 3 at-bats, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's ahead 3-2 here. And there's ball 4. Good at-bat by Howard to draw the leadoff walk here in the 5th.
Let's take a look at how this happened. Narveson does a great job of just jumping ahead. I mean, this is a very dangerous hitter. Okay, bang, strike 1 with the breaking ball. So, you know what? We'll go to the outside corner. Now he's starting to try to strike him out rather than get him out. So now he's nibbling a little bit, just missing. Instead of maybe just putting a little sink on something, keeping it around the knees and getting a ground ball. Instead, he tried to make the perfect pitch there on Howard, and it cost him.
Well, that's a great point. Kind of minimizing and managing your pitch count and trying to get the hitter to get himself out.
And I think that's just inexperience at the major league level. Maybe giving Ryan Howard, certainly who you have to respect, but maybe giving him too much respect in that situation.
Jason Worth is 0 for 1. He was intentionally walked his first time up, and that one's at the knees, a changeup. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
But there's nothing wrong with putting a little sink on a pitch, maybe going to the outside part of the plate and getting an early ground ball. But strikeouts are sexy, and everybody, they're one of the Triple Crown pitching numbers. Wins, ERA, strikeouts, that kind of stuff. Sometimes they can be a little overrated, Tom.
I think the guy that pitched here last night for the Phillies is a clear example of that, and Jamie Moyer. At the age of 47, he'll strike out a guy here and there, but he wants contact.
That's exactly right. Keep his pitch count down.
And he just wants it away from the barrel of the bat.
Remember Rick Russell, Big Daddy? Rick Russell was the same way. He said, if I'm striking people out, I'm not going to go very deep in the game. Greg Maddux was the same way. Even though he did strike people out, he wanted you out 1 or 2 pitches into the at-bat.
And a swing and a miss by Worth. He thought he foul tipped that one, but he's down on strikes, 1 away. Chevy and Scott's are building diamonds and dreams. See how the kids could win a ballpark makeover, and you could win a new Chevy at ChevyBaseball.com. There's a lot of teams around Major League Baseball that really are having an impact in their community, building fields around the area. The Brewers are one. The Colorado Rockies are another. Just another way of spreading the game around to the youth and populations around Major League Baseball cities.
It's still the greatest game in the world.
And it has such a reach, too. I mean, just think about the 2 managers who are managing in this ball game. Charlie Manuel for the Phillies and Ken Maka for the Brewers. I mean, they didn't have successful major league careers as players.
No.
But those 2 guys, well, one, the guy to the left is a bona fide legend in Japan, home run hitter. And Ken Maka followed him in Japan, and he put up some pretty good numbers in the Japanese leagues as well. Charlie hit 189 home runs in a very short period of time over in Japan. And Ken Maka finished with 82 homers in 3 years and hit long balls. No matter where you play baseball, then you become a legend.
You become a legend. Yeah, if you can hit it over the boards, you're going to be loved. Sadaharu Oh, the great Japanese slugger. I remember I got to speak with him one time and through an interpreter. Because he's a very slightly built man. He's not a big man at all, Sadaharu Oh. I asked him, how'd you hit all those home runs? He said, I just tried to hit the ball over the fence. You Americans try to hit it over the light tower.
Well, there are some guys that can hit it over the light towers, but that is true.
But doesn't he have a great point?
He does.
So much emphasis is how far it went. You know, every home run in the major leagues is measured at how far it went and whatnot. And those two guys can hit them as far or further than anybody. But so much emphasis is made on how far major league players hit the baseball.
Foul ball by Ibanez, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Almost like it doesn't go in the upper deck, it doesn't count.
Well, Charlie Manuel says all the time that a home run is just a long fly ball that just happens to go out of the yard. So you put a good swing on it. You're not trying to hit a home run. You know, you're going to get your share.
You're going to hit them. Leave it to Charlie to keep it very simple like that.
That pitch just missed off the outside corner.
Once again, a Philly batter laying off a pitch that just on the borderline, but Brian Knight, the home plate umpire, said it was too far out. And another 3-2 count.
Howard leading off first. We'll see if he goes. He doesn't. And a swing and a miss, and that's one of the reasons why Charlie Manuel didn't start him. Second strikeout of the inning for Narveson. And 2 away. For exclusive information, analysis, and breaking news, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and MySpace. Log on to twitter.com/MLB on Fox, Facebook.com/Fox Sports, or MySpace.com/Fox Sports. 2 outs for Wilson Valdez, who was 0 for 2. He's popped out and he's grounded into a fielder's choice. And an off-speed pitch over for a strike, and it's 0-1.
Narveson kind of quietly, 8 strikeouts here through 4 2/3. That's impressive.
Well, it's the second straight start he's picked up 8 Ks. He went 5 2/3 against the Diamondbacks his last time out and picked up 8 strikeouts. The shame of it is that around those 8 strikeouts, there have been some struggles, but
right.
If the Brewers had made the play in the second inning, then this could be a scoreless ball game.
You're exactly right. It seems like Narveson has been in and out of trouble just about every inning, but at the end of the day, you're going to look back on this outing and say, you know what? He threw a pretty good ball game.
See a strikeout total. He's got a good mixture of swings and looking strikes. He's ahead 1-2 to Wilson Valdez. Valdez fights it off to stay alive. That'll find the seats.
Once again, you can almost see just doing anything he can to keep from pulling the ball, letting the ball travel, letting it get deep, and then just trying to swat it the other way at the last second.
How hard is that as a hitter to trust yourself that you can do that?
Well, when you were like me, it was easy because you just didn't have a whole lot of bat speed, so you just hit it the other way and just tell everybody, oh, yeah, it was on the outside corner to knees.
He pulls that one toward the middle. Nice play by Counsell. Short way to Weeks. And the inning is over. Phillies have left 8 through 5, but they have a 2-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th. the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. Last of the 5th inning here at Miller Park. Prince Fielder leads things off against Joe Blanton. Blanton has allowed just 1 hit, and he has faced the minimum thanks to a double play. And he's facing the minimum no more. Jason Worth heading back, and that's a long home run for Prince Fielder. It's his 6th of the year, and this is a 1-run game. Well, Sonahara was right on target with what he said about the American players trying to hit them as far as they could, and Prince Fielder hit one as far as he could.
I mean, he just absolutely comes unglued to hit this ball. Fastball right down the middle, and Prince does not miss it whatsoever. Just destroys it deep into right field seats.
6th home run of the year for Fielder. And here is Casey McGee, who takes a pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Prince Fielder, who will be a free agent at the end of this season. All the struggles the Brewers have had this year. There's been a lot of pressure put on all of these guys,
sure.
And I think Prince is feeling it more than anybody else because he wants to be, along with Ryan Braun, the real leaders offensively of this team, and I think he takes it personally that they're struggling this much.
Which is what you'd expect from your leader, because that one's tapped foul. Yeah, this is Prince's team, and rightfully so. He and Ryan Braun are 2 guys that, I mean, it's as good a back-to-back as anybody in baseball, including Utley and Howard.
That one's hit hard off the glove of Polanco, and that should be a base hit for McGee. 2nd straight hit given up by Blanton.
That time a changeup stays up in the zone, and Polanco just can't make the play. The ball was scalded.
Right out over the plate, and look where this one lands.
Did we say light towers? Man. I mean, look at the head stay right on it. Stays right on his back leg.
Look how strong his thighs are when you look at that shot. Jody Garrett batting for the first time. He came on for Jim Edmonds earlier. See Garrett's numbers: 204, 2 homers, and 8 RBIs.
That doesn't look like numbers of a guy that's had a cycle this year, does it?
It is pretty impressive that he is now on a list of 289 cycles in Major League history, and he is just above the 200 mark with his average. It's that one toward left field. That's going to be a tough play, and that's going to be a foul ball. Just foul.
Boy, that looks like it was maybe less than an inch. Third base umpire Sam Holbrook. Let's see what he saw. Man.
Some good eyes. And here's the cycle for Garrett last week against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's the home run. And he was barreling the ball that night. There's the triple. And then Garrett picks up the double for the cycle. He said 289 cycles in the history of Major League Baseball, and my partner has one of them back in 1993. Did that cross your mind when you saw Garrett pick up the cycle in Arizona?
Well, I know that I am the last Chicago Cub to do it, and it was 1993 as that ball's out in front of the plate.
It's a good decision by
first. That's exactly right. But yeah, it was 1993, and Jody Garrett's asking for a foul ball, and he's not going to get it. But yeah, so nobody's done it since 93, which is interesting. Nothing foul about that. And the interesting thing about me doing it, it's one thing that I didn't hit a whole lot of home runs, but I hit a lot less triples.
I would think that that's the toughest one to get, is the triple. I mean, you never plan on hitting a home run, but the triple, because some of these ballparks aren't that big, and you need to have a pretty good bounce in order to get to third.
I was flying that day.
like you have never flown before.
Me and Shane Victorino.
2-0 the count to Greg Zahn. Zahn singled his first time up. One of 3 hits for the Brewers, and he's got a runner at scoring position here with 1 away. This is the first time in the ball game that Joe Blanton is pitching with a runner at second base. With the exception of Fielder, who went right around second base.
You got to give a lot of credit to Chris Narveson of the Brewers. He's done a heck of a job of keeping his team close.
Well, and because of that, even though his pitch count is 108, the Brewers bullpen has not started to loosen. I thought maybe they would get somebody up if the Brewers get a couple more guys on, because that pitcher spot is going to be due up.
I think Ken Maka likes what he's seeing right now out of Narveson. I think right now he's saying, man, this is your game.
Well, that and the fact that the Brewers bullpen has allowed 19 runs in the last 4 games. 3-2 pitch. Hit in the air down the left field line. Ibanez on the run over toward the line, slides, and he can't get there.
Another ball just inches foul. And that is 2 very close calls out there. They're both been just fouled. Could have just as easily been doubles.
So Zahn back in there with a count 3-2 and a runner at second base. And he hits it to left again. This time Ibanez doesn't have to move that far. And he makes the catch for out number 2. So 2 away. Well, it's time now for our Mercedes-Benz trivia answer. The question was, who are the only 2 Phillies pitchers to hit a postseason home run? Now, you mentioned one earlier.
One was a couple of years ago, Joe Blanton. And how about the Hall of Famer?
Here's Blanton's home run, game 4 against the Tampa Bay Rays. And that was a thumping that the Phillies put on the Rays in game 4.
He put a pretty good charge into that ball, didn't he?
It's a guy who played most of his career in the American League, who didn't get a whole lot of chances to swing. And it's his first career home run. Does not have any in the regular season. And here's Corey Hart. Again, the off-speed pitches have been really good for Blanton today.
Rock solid.
Hart bounced into a 5-4-3 double play his first time up. And he was indecisive on that, and it's 0-2.
I mean, it's rare that you see a curveball or a breaking pitch thrown right by a guy, but that was a very tardy swing there by Corey Hart. 0-2.
And he fouls the 0-2 pitch off, so he stays alive. Corey Hart last year hit .260 for the Brewers, had 12 home runs. But this has been a down year for him, at least during the outset.
Probably last year at this time, Corey Hart would probably be walked right here with a base open and the pitcher on deck.
That's a good point.
But they're going right after him. And really, if you do walk Hart here, what you do is you force Ken Maka to make a decision on Chris Narveson. I think the decision has been made. There is nobody getting loose in the Brewer bullpen.
Now that is, you would think, because of how bad the bullpen's been.
I think you're absolutely right.
Well, let's take a look at the Verizon game summary so far. Phillies lead at 2-1. Chase Utley, 2 doubles and RBI. Prince Fielder just hit a mammoth home run. Chris Narveson, 108 pitches so far through 5 innings, and his day doesn't look like it's going to be done, as he has limited the Phillies to 2 runs on 6 hits. A Verizon game summary. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count to Hart.
So Hoover and Blanton having a little trouble getting on the same page.
In the air to right field. Not deep. Jason Worth waits. And Joe Blanton strands a runner in scoring position. The Brewers, though, do get on the board. A long home run by Prince Fielder, his 6th of the year. Makes it a 2-1 game. Let's build something together. By Verizon, the network with the most 3G coverage. And by Chevy, every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. 5 of the books here in Milwaukee as Chris Narveson goes back to work. Trailing at 2-1, facing 8-9-1. Paul Hoover has singled and scored. He's also gone down looking. One of 8 strikeouts for Narveson.
Bob Uecker was on with us earlier, and he talked about how impressed he is with this left-hander. He hadn't disappointed.
Now, the fact that he's scattered 6 hits through the first 5 innings of this ballgame. He's worked a lot of deep counts, but he's persevered to pick up those 8 strikeouts.
That's a good description. He really has persevered these last 3 innings to put goose eggs on the board, keep his team in the ball game, and give these big ornery Brewer hitters an opportunity.
So Rick Peterson, the pitching coach for the Brewers. Peterson at one time was the pitching coach of the White Sox back in the 90s, but really stepped into the limelight in Major League Baseball with the Oakland Athletics under Art Howe and then eventually Ken Maka. And then he went over to New York as the pitching coach for the New York Mets under Willie Randolph, and he has kind of taken a different approach to the position of pitching coach. It's not only about mechanics and making sure that selection of pitches is the correct ones, but also it's about body movement and psychological approach as a pitcher, all the things that go along with the physical part of the game.
Well, because that one's down in the dirt. Also, when he was in Oakland, when you've got Barry Zito in his prime, Tim Hudson in his prime, and Mark Mulder in his prime, you're going to be a good pitching coach. It's kind of like Leo Mazzoni down in Atlanta. You give me Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox, Mark Wohlers, you're going to make a lot of money as a pitching coach with those guys.
chopper toward the hole, and a base hit for Hoover, his second of the game. And he's aboard to start the 6th inning. Hey, next week it's a Fox Saturday Baseball primetime special as interleague play begins with the Yankees taking on the Mets in a showdown between crosstown rivals where the Cubs battling the Rangers. The Red Sox take on the Phillies with the Tigers square off against the Dodgers. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser returns next week at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Catch This Week in Baseball at a special time. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. The Texas Rangers, and you will be in Texas next week, and they have put together a very good start to the season.
Ron Washington do a great job down there in Texas. Have you seen Andre Ethier play yet this year?
I have seen him from a distance, not in person.
Oh, he is putting up one of the more special month and a halves than I've ever seen.
Well, he leads the National League in average, home runs, and RBI. He's on pace for the Triple Crown. It would be the first since 1937 in the National League. And he is just one of the storylines that you'll see next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, but also around Major League Baseball. I mean, Tim Lincecum is pitching today. 64 strikeouts coming in. I mean, he has been lights out.
And also going back to Andre Ethier, tell you how good he's going. He got intentionally walked the other night, and the opponent would rather face Manny Ramirez. How about that? That's how good a season he's having.
Blanton takes the 0-2 pitch, and it's in there for the 9th strikeout of the day for Narveson. That's a pretty good hook right there.
He has gotten a lot of called thirds on that big roundhouse breaking ball. It looks like it got the top of the strike zone. That's a good pitch. Oh, by the way, Manny Ramirez hit a bases loaded double.
Well, Ethier has been the guy that, if you asked fans the last couple of years who's been the clutch guy in the National League, I mean, he's had so many game-winning hits the last 2 years.
He is a walk-off machine.
Here's Victorino with a runner on first. Phillies lead it 2-1. Victorino's 1 for 3. You think about it, though, Mark. I mean, you were such a good hitter during your years as a player with the Cubs and the Diamondbacks. It is so hard to win the Triple Crown in this day and age.
I can't imagine. Yeah, if Pujols hadn't done it yet, then I just don't think it can be done.
Victorino lines one deep down the left field line. That is off the top of the wall and over. A 2-run home run for Victorino. And the Phillies now lead it 4-1. Well, earlier, a bounce off the wall hurt the Phillies. Here, the bounce off the top of the wall helps the Phillies.
Well, just a rocket line drive on a fastball in. Victorino cuts it off right off the top of that wall. Out there with the racing sausages. I was
going to say, it stirred the sausages out there.
Boy, what a big 2-run home run for a little breathing room. Shane Victorino.
Now Polanco takes a breaking ball high.
31 RBIs now for Shane Victorino in the leadoff spot.
And 8 home runs.
Man.
Mitch Stetter's up and loosening now for the Brewers. With the left-handers due up for the Phillies after Polanco. And Polanco lifts it toward left. Here comes Braun. And he makes the catch for the second out. Victorino all smiles after that home run.
Well, what a find he has been for the Phillies.
Rule 5 selection.
Rule 5 from the Dodgers.
If you're the Padres, who had him as a Rule 5 selection before the Phillies, probably sitting there thinking, boy, he would look really good at Petco Park right now, roaming center field.
Every once in a while, you get lucky in that Rule 5, but it's very rare. Well, Victorino has been just unbelievable ever since he's been in Philadelphia.
Chase Utley has an RBI today, 2 doubles in his first 2 at-bats. He's also grounded out to fielder. And a fastball on the outside corner, and it's 0-2.
This is going to be one of those outings, Tom, for Chris Narveson, where you say, If you just looked at the stats, you say, hey, it doesn't look like he pitched all that well. I think this kid has done yeoman's work today.
The way the Brewers score runs, you look at a 4-run outing, if that's where it stays for Narveson, and think, all right, well, that's a game that the Brewers could win.
And they're going to win more than their fair share of those.
Into the count, Utley. Down and away, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, these Phillies just do not chase out of the strike zone. It's impressive. 125 pitches now for Narveson.
Well, that is a career high. To go along with a career high 9 strikeouts.
That's why I was saying the yeoman's work. I mean, he is out there battling, scratching, clawing, doing everything he can to keep his ball club in this ball game. Another 0-2 to a 3-2 count. He's going to sleep well tonight.
Utley rips it foul. Ooh, look out. Visit your local Lowe's to cast your Scott's MLB All-Star ballot and enter for a chance to win a VIP All-Star Week experience. Compliments of Scott's. Charlie Manuel will be the manager of the National League squad for the 2nd straight year. And of course, Joe Girardi will manage the American League squad. Utley pops it up down the left field line, slicing out of play. Charlie Manuel is a very serious guy when it comes to the competition of baseball. And he didn't take too kindly to the fact that the National League lost last year in the All-Star game in St. Louis. So, as he says, I'm going there to win.
Cost him home field advantage.
Cost him home field advantage in the World Series. He was saying last week that I'm not sure if the Phillies are going to get back to the World Series. I think we're built to do that. But I want to make sure that the National League has home field advantage no matter who it is that's there. And he said, plus, I don't like to lose.
And yeah, if you're gonna go over there, because of the implications of the home field advantage, you can't really call it an exhibition game anymore because that's a lot riding on it.
And Utley is hit by a pitch. That ball just kept tailing inside. And the Phillies have a base runner. Here comes Ken Maka. 130 pitches for Narveson. It's the most by any major league pitcher this year. He's going to lead trailing at 4-1 with a base runner here at the top of the 6th inning. decent day. 5 2/3. He scattered 8 hits and 9 strikeouts. The highest pitch count in the majors this year. He threw 130 pitches, and now Mitch Stetter's on to face Ryan Howard.
I think as he sits over there, I think that left arm's about an inch longer than it was when he woke up this morning.
See Stetter's numbers since being recalled from the minor leagues. This was his 6th ball game. An earned run average of 18. We mentioned that the Brewers' pen has really struggled on this homestand. First against the Braves in a 3-game series. And that's one of the reasons why Ken Maka decided to let Narveson stay in there here in the 6th inning. He had thrown a lot of pitches, but it didn't look like he was overwhelmed by the number of pitches he had thrown.
Big swing and a miss there. And a couple of guys that Ken Maka can trust, Carlos Villanueva and also Todd Coffey. But really, other than that, there just hasn't been too much to trust from Maka this year coming out of the bullpen.
0-2 the count to Howard. And a breaking ball swung on and missed. And Howard is rung up for the 3rd time. Phillies get 2 more, though, and a home run by Shane Victorino. Lead it by 3. Budweiser. As we start the bottom of the 6th inning, Joe Blanton has allowed 3 hits in a run on a home run by Prince Fielder. Here's Alcides Escobar, who will pinch hit for the Brewers. And the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. You know, the Brewers don't have a big bench, particularly with Garrett coming in for Jim Edmonds and the call-up of John Axford, who's been placed in the bullpen. So they only had a 4-man bench coming into today. Escobar is normally the starting shortstop for the Brewers. Because of his evolution, it was one of the reasons why Milwaukee traded away J.J. Hardy. Plus, J.J. Hardy did not really perform that well last year.
And this kid, one of the biggest prospects in all of baseball. Struggling a bit out of the gate.
It's that one in the air deep to left field. Ibanez going back, and it is gone. It slipped right over the top of the wall. 2nd home run of the day for the Brewers. And Bernie the Brewer going off on another slide, and it's now 4-2 Phillies. A pinch hit home run for Escobar.
Well, he just got a pitch right in the middle of the plate, belt high, and he just drilled it. Fastball right in the middle of the plate. Out she goes, just over the top of that yellow line in left field. Ibanez waiting for the carom that never came.
That's 5 home runs now for the Brewers in 2 ball games against the Phillies, but all 5 have been solo home runs.
That's just so difficult to do. Just sit around over there for a couple hours and then go grab a bat and hit a homer.
Ricky Weeks swings at the first pitch. He's done it a couple times today. And Chase Utley makes the grab in short right center. So Weeks is retired. 1 away here in the 6th.
Well, we talked about Blanton. He's just trying to get through 6. He's still 2 big outs away from doing that, but it looks to me, Tom, like the ball's starting to elevate a little bit here for Blanton. I think you saw that in his last start down in Atlanta. He was cruising through 5, and then all of a sudden in the 6th inning, he hit that proverbial wall, and he hit it hard.
He has thrown 6 innings in each of his first 2 starts coming off the save list. But Rich Doobie was telling us before the ball game that this is still kind of like spring training for Joe Blanton, because he missed a month of the regular season before he threw his first pitch.
That's a good fastball right at the outside corner there. He's only 73 pitches into this thing. Normally for a pitcher of Blanton's status, a guy that has been known to throw plenty of innings.
Craig Counsell takes one high, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike to Counsell.
But once again, starting to miss up in the strike zone, starting to miss high, and that's usually a telltale sign of fatigue.
Counsell lifts one in the air deep to right field. That one's got some distance. Worth toward the corner, makes the catch. 2 steps from the wall. 2 away here in the 6th inning. 8th fly ball out.
Let's see where this pitch was. Well, that's a fastball right down the middle. Hoover wanted it on the outside corner, but he went down the middle. But Counsell, not much of a home run threat ever, but even in his senior years here, it's even less. But he got away with it.
His 1 home run this year, a grand slam. Here's Ryan Braun. Now he is a home run threat.
Yes.
0 for 2 today, and boy, the Phillies have done a very good job against the top 3 hitters in the Brewers lineup in these first 2 games. In fact, with the combination of Weeks, Counsell, and Braun today, coupled with yesterday, top 3 hitters are 1 for 21 in this series.
And that's the worst thing you can have if you're a Brewer fan or if you're Ken Moffitt. You want these guys hitting with some fellas out there. You don't need that bases empty feeling every time. Braun, Fielder, McGee. And that's your bread and butter guys. You need to set the table for them.
1-2 the count now to Ryan Braun. Well, we can not guarantee that Ryan Braun is going to hit a home run right here, but Valvoline can guarantee your engine up to 300,000 miles.
I knew you were going to say that to me.
Valvoline, the first and only motor oil in the industry to guarantee your engine up to 300,000 miles. 2-2 the count to Braun. Ryan Braun, the 2007 Rookie of the Year, and he hasn't stopped hitting. Now, we saw the splits before. He struggled here at home. And he bounces that one toward third. Should be an easy play for Polanco. And Blanton retires Braun. He does give up a home run to Escobar, but he leads it by 2. We'll return to Milwaukee after word from your local Fox station. Phillies lead it 4-2. We head to the top of the 7th inning. Vargas takes over for Mitch Stetter, who got the final out in the 6th inning. See the numbers on Vargas, who was so good last year for Milwaukee. Former starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks and the Expos. And he was a pretty good relief pitcher last year for Milwaukee, and he hasn't been able to duplicate it so far this year.
So far it's been a bit of a struggle for big Claudio Vargas. Still throws plenty hard. Got some decent off-speed stuff.
He faces Jason Worth, who is 0 for 2. And Jason takes a breaking ball inside. Talked about Prince Fielder being a free agent at the end of this season. Jason Worth is also eligible for free agency at the end of this year. And after the last couple of years he's put together, plus the start he's had this season, he is going to be a commodity once he gets out, if he does get out into the open market.
There is going to be a lot of fun to be had for some free agents this year.
He has enjoyed his time in Philadelphia. He's fit into this clubhouse so well. And he hits one right back up the middle, a base hit. Well, time now for a DirecTV game break. The only way to watch every MLB game in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. How about the Pirates, who are doing a pretty good job against the Cubs in this series? Aramis Ramirez tries to score from second. Ryan Church says, And then Octavio Dotel comes on, and he smokes one right on by Marlon Byrd. The Pirates defeated the Cubs 4-3 in Chicago. The only way to watch every MLB game in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Pirates have gone into Chicago and made it look kind of easy.
Here's Ibanez, who is 0 for 2. He walked back in the 3rd. The Pirates have been interesting because they haven't faced the National League East yet.
No.
Which they'll start doing on Monday. But they have stayed at least within reach of the Reds, who are in second place, and the Cardinals, who are in first place.
Well, the Cardinals right now, I thought it was going to be a horse race between the Cardinals and the Brewers. The Brewers have stubbed their toe a little bit in April and May. The Cardinals have played well. But usually, or at least the last few years, Tom, you could always count, if you were the Brewers or the Cardinals or even the Cubs, you could always count on playing the Pittsburgh Pirates a lot. You could always count on playing the Houston Astros a lot. But now all of a sudden the Cincinnati Reds are starting to peek over the wall a little bit and get back into things.
1-1 the count to Raul Ibanez. Nobody out here in the top of the 7th inning. And Ibanez takes one off the outside corner. It's 2-1. Jason Worth is on first base. Worth has a couple stolen bases this year. 20 stolen bases the last 2 years. I mentioned that he'll be a free agent at the end of this year. Fielder will be a free agent at the end of next year. But still, contracts weigh heavy on any player's minds when it's upon them, or it seems like it is. And Jason Worth has played rather freely. So has Prince Fielder. And both have had good years the last few seasons. But
be careful what you ask for as well. You're talking about Fielder and Worth that play in two very hitter-friendly ballparks. So if you're the San Francisco Giants and you go and get one of those guys, don't expect the same numbers because that's such a pitcher's ballpark. And I just brought the Giants up. Atlanta's another pitcher-friendly ballpark.
Yes, San Diego is the same.
Oh my goodness!
Not that it seems like the Padres would be searching for veteran players because they've gone with the youth movement. It's certainly helped them out this year.
They can pitch.
3 balls, 1 strike to count to Ibanez. And it's full, 3-2.
And one thing you can count on with Claudio Vargas is he will take his sweet time on the mound.
He's one of those guys that it's good that there's no clock in baseball.
You got that right. Never in a hurry is Big Claudio.
Two-run game here in the top of the 7th. See if Charlie Manuel starts Jason Worth with nobody out. We count 3-2. Worth is a base stealer. He doesn't go, and the pitch is lined towards center field. Garrett over, makes the one-handed grab. He has hit it hard, but he's retired for the first out. Fox Sports is proud to team with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation during our 2010 MLB on Fox season. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation helps fund the most advanced and promising breast cancer research. Join the fight by texting CURE to 27722 to donate $10 or visit bcrf-cure-.org. Messaging and data rates may apply. bcrf.cure.org. Joseph Valdez, the hitter. Valdez 0 for 3. He's grounded out 3 times. Line drive, base hit for Valdez. So the Phillies have runners on first and second with 1 away. So Valdez is aboard, so is Jason Worth. MLB is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer. Visit standuptocancer.org to learn how you can help us in the fight against cancer. Major League Baseball over the years has done such an amazing job with supporting the many cancer research foundations around the country. We saw it last week on Mother's Day around baseball. Players weren't using those pink bats.
Pink bats, the pink wristbands and whatnot.
And just about every player in just about every lineup on that Sunday used one of those pink bats.
At least once.
Pickoff play on at second, and Jason Worth spins his foot back in there.
Craig Counsell, never can trust him. Always trying to do something. You see, that's much slower going back that way than had he just dove back. He was just able to get the foot in under that dastardly Craig Counsell tag.
Almost looked like he wanted to dive back, and all of a sudden realized he was short of the bag, and that had to spin his body. That's a big body.
He is a long man. Long arms, long legs. Just uses some kind of leverage to hit the ball as far as he does.
1 ball, no strikes, the count to Paul Hoover. What a day Hoover's had. 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Scored 2 runs in last night's game, too. But he gets a piece of it, and it's 1-1. See the Phillies wearing that number 36 patch on their right sleeve of their uniforms. That is in honor of the late Robin Roberts, who passed away last week. A great Philly pitcher, a Hall of Famer. Talk about this game being void of complete games. It wasn't void of it. No, not when he pitched. '91 on the outside part of the plate. 1-2 the count to Hoover. Paul Hoover first made it to the big leagues with the Florida Marlins. Last year was up for a handful of games in the Phillies uniform. Nice play by Zahn, who then kicks it behind him. He got in his body in front of it. It looked like he had blocked it, but it scooted right between his legs, and Worth moves over to third. Up to second goes Valdez. That's a wild pitch.
And when they came up with the stat wild pitch, they were thinking about that one right there. Not much Zahn can do there. He did the best he could, but squirts by him. And boy, that is a big 90 feet there for both those Philly base runners. Now no longer a double play in order. And now it's decision time for Ken Maka. Do you want to load the bases here, or do you want to continue to go after Hoover in this situation?
Joe Blanton is on deck, and now the Brewers play the infield in with one away. It's just a 2-run game. And Hoover lines it down the left field line. It is a fair ball, and it's heading to the corner. 2 runs are going to score. Paul Hoover pulls into second, and he has his 3rd hit of the afternoon.
That magic wand again from Charlie Manuel. Probably nobody knew who this Hoover young man was until this series, but bang, he takes a hanging breaking ball and just drills it down the left field line. Claudio Vargas has faced 4 hitters, and 4 hitters have absolutely hit missiles off of him. 1 for an out. The rest has been worth 2 runs.
Well, now Blanton gets a chance to bat, and he's not up there to try to sacrifice Hoover over to third. He's going to get a chance to take a hack here. 0 for 2.
Well, if you're Ken Maka, you're just thinking, who can I give the baseball to in the bullpen?
It has to tie you up as a manager when you're not sure where to go, because there have been so many guys struggling.
And these are the kind of losses that just dig at you. I mean, they're just heartbreakers. Your starter goes out there and gives you every ounce of his heart and soul like Narveson does today, and then you turn it over to a bullpen that just can't get anybody out.
Including the opposing pitcher. Hoover's held at third as Blanton picks up the base hit. And now the top of the order is due up, with the Phillies having runners on first and third here in the 7th inning. Rick Peterson taking a look at that lineup card. Willie Randolph, the bench coach for the Brewers, signaling to Greg Zahn about what they want to do with the infield.
And just now the phone is starting to ring out in the bullpen for Milwaukee. So Maka's going to stay with Vargas for at least Victorino and probably more.
Victorino has homered today. He's also singled home a run, so he's 2 for 4. 3 RBIs, 31 RBIs on the year. He's brought his average up to 260 with his 2 hits today. There's Jeff Suppan, who's up and loosening in the pen. 2-0 the count. They're not working around Victorino here, are they?
You wouldn't think so. I think right now Vargas is just struggling. And now Shane Victorino can just turn up the dial right here, look for one pitch in one spot, probably a fastball in the middle. He can try to hit a home run left-handed here. Made a pretty good pitch down at the knees.
Well, it's time now for our Just for Men Keep Your Edge, and it's Shane Victorino with his home run earlier. Phillies are up 2-1 at that point. Just as Shane Victorino gives the Phillies the edge, you can keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard. 2-1 the count now to Victorino. And Shane lifts it toward right center field. Garrett on the run. He's not going to get there. It's going to be another extra base hit for Victorino. And if Blanton can score and he can't, it would have been another triple. Instead, it's an RBI double. And the Phillies have scored 3 runs here in the 7th inning. They lead it 7-2.
Well, now 5 batters for Vargas and 5 rockets. That pitch was down. Victorino just went down and hit a 1-iron out into right center field. And Victorino doing a really good job of running with his head up. He realizes that he's got Blanton in front of him. He could easily have a triple, but he keeps his head up and says, oh, I can't. They stopped Blanton at third base.
Yeah,
another RBI.
He kind of peeked at where Blanton was initially, and Sam Palazzo had not put up the stop sign yet until he routed the bag. Infield is in for Polanco.
And that's a good job, good heads-up base running there by Victorino. Put on the brakes and scamper back, keep the inning going. And then realizing you got a big old slow pitcher in front of you.
4 RBIs for Victorino today, 32 on the year.
Victorino can tell Brent, how am I going to lead the league in triples if you're on in front of me?
Oh, you know, he did kind of glance at him a little bit, wondering, hey, man, what's going on? I hit that ball a pretty good way.
You telling me you can't score on that?
Joe is catching his breath. Joe has slimmed down since spring training. That guy works hard. Keeps himself in shape. The 0-2 pitch. And again, Polanco fouls it off. 7 runs now on 13 hits for the Phillies.
Still only 1 out here in the inning.
And Mark, 7 of those hits have come in the last 2 innings.
Yeah. Ever since Narveson left the ball game.
Little flare toward right center field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Blanton's going to score. Victorino's held up at third. Now the folks here in Milwaukee have not had a whole lot to cheer about this season at home. And they're getting a little restless with what they're seeing from Claudio Vargas.
Well, I can't say that I blame them. They've been seeing it a lot. And mercifully, Ken Maka going to come out and remove Vargas from the ball game.
Well, that's it for Claudio Vargas. 4 runs have scored. Jeff Suppan is next up for the Brewers. The Phillies have started to erupt offensively here at Miller Park, much to the chagrin of this near-capacity crowd. More than 43,000 on hand, and they let Jeff Suppan hear it when he came out of the bullpen to take over for Claudio Vargas. It's been a tough year for Suppan. This will be his 9th game, no wins, 1 loss, an earned run average of 6.41. 7 walks at 19 2/3. I mentioned before that the Brewers need to get back to basics. Well, outscored by Atlanta 28-7 in the first 3 games of this homestand. Now 17-7 here in the 2 games against the Phillies. 2 runners on for Chase Utley, and Chase hits it foul, and the count is 0-1.
Yeah, it's just been a struggle for Suppan. It's been a struggle to just about everybody out in that Brewer bullpen.
Suppan won 16 games in back-to-back years for the St. Louis Cardinals. Signed a long-term deal here with the Brewers. He's always been a durable pitcher in the big leagues. And up and he slices one toward left center. Garrett diving grab. What a play. Tagging from third, Victorino. He'll score. It's the 8th run of the day for the Phillies. Or excuse me, 9th run of the day for the Phillies. But a heck of a play for Garrett. It could have been a whole lot worse.
Just major respect and major props for Jody Garrett. His team's getting kicked around here in the 7th inning. And he's making a diving play out there in the outfield to save his pitcher. I guarantee you there's a lot of teammates that are going to give him the respect he deserves after that play. That's good to see. Eyes just stay right on the ball, even in the middle of the dive. Look at the eyes right on the glove. Good stuff. That's a great shot, isn't it?
Great shot and a really impressive play. Ryan Howard, the batter. Howard swings and misses at the breaking ball, and the count is 0-1. Phillies have batted around here in the 7th inning. How about 7, 8, 9 for the Phillies? Have scored 6 runs today and driven in 2 more. And that includes Joe Blanton, who is allowed 2 runs, but he's also scored 2 runs. Here's Blanton. Will go back to work in the bottom of the 7th inning. See how potent this lineup is with Victorino picking up 4 RBIs. Phillies have scored these 9 runs on 14 hits and without a base hit from Ryan Howard, who has struck out 3 times. That one's pulled hard under the glove of fielder and into right field. Polanco will coast over to third. A base hit for Howard. And the inning is still alive for the Phillies. Their 15th hit of the day. Hey, today's MLB on Fox Tune In to Win bonus question is, who's that tweeter?
Huh?
The season is going great. Really excited about how the team is coming together. Who's that tweeter? To answer, visit foxsports.com/tunein to make your prediction before the final out of the 7th inning. Not in the game? Sign up today for next week's MLB on Fox game at foxsports.com/tunein. Got any idea who the tweeter is?
Season is going great. Love how the team is coming together.
Could be anybody.
Well, I saw one of the answers would have been Orlando Hudson, I believe. It can't be Orlando Hudson. I'm going to eliminate him because that's just not enough words. Orlando Hudson would have said that in about 150 words. One of the more delightful men you'll ever meet in this game, Orlando Hudson, but you can certainly fairly call him a motor mouth.
1 ball and 2 strikes, the count to Jason Worth. 10th man to bat in this inning for the Phillies. Yeah, I was going to say Orlando Hudson is usually optimistic, so that's a very optimistic statement.
And he's with the Minnesota Twins this year, and that team certainly has come together nicely.
Jason Worth started the inning with a leadoff single, then scored. And he hits one on the hands, a looper toward left. Braun coming on, and the inning is finally over for the Brewers. But the Phillies sent 10 men to the plate. They scored 5 more runs. Time to stretch here at Miller Park. Forward and by Holiday Inn. Stay you with the official partner of Major League Baseball road trips. Prince Fielder leads it off here in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 9-2 Phillies. And Joe Blanton has been keeping these Brewers hitters off balance throughout the day, with maybe the exception of Fielder's home run and Escobar's home run. But he's done exactly what Jamie Moyer did last night for the Phillies.
And Jamie proved last night, as Blanton is today, solo homers don't beat you. Jamie gave up 3 of them in 1 inning last night, but he was still the victor.
Fielder finally lays off that change, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Opposite way now for Fielder, slicing toward the corner. That'll stay in the yard. It's a fair ball. And Prince pulls into second with his 6th double of the year. So nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Casey McGee, we've had him mic'd all day long. It's time for our sounds of the game. Let him describe to you Joe Blanton.
I'm saying the way he the way he throws like that, it looks like it's going to be down more than it is. It kind of stays there.
I guess he's saying that Joe Blanton hides the ball pretty good.
He's hiding the ball well, and he's expecting the ball to maybe sink out of the strike zone, but no, it's staying right above the kneecaps.
And the key today is 1 for 2 against Blanton. Blanton was drafted in the 1st round back in 2002 by the Oakland A's. He was one of 4 first-round picks by Billy Beane that year. And he's ahead of McGee 0-2. In fact, that draft featured Prince Fielder, who was on second base. It also featured Zach Greinke, who was taken 6th overall. And the guy that was picked right after Joe Blanton is another good pitcher, and Matt Cain of the Giants. Blanton has shown well during his career, and that's a nasty pitch right there. McGee is rung up for the 1st out.
Hasn't thrown too many curveballs today, Joe Blanton, but boy, he picked a good time, and he just absolutely froze Casey McGee with that 0-2 breaking ball. Take a look, see, yeah, and he knew it.
So 4 strikeouts for Blanton, 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. And Jody Garrett, who hit a little nubber his first time up out in front of the plate. He'll stand in for the 2nd time. He pulls that ball and foul.
Jody Garrett, his first at bat, missed the left field line by a couple of inches. Now he decides he's going to miss the right field line by a couple of inches. That's frustrating as a hitter too, when you're hitting some balls hard and you're just get down, and it's foul.
Particularly when you're hitting just over 200.
Yes.
You're trying to get every hit you possibly can to raise that average.
Yeah, you're trying to keep yourself in the lineup, and I would imagine if hopefully Jim Edmonds is okay. But when you're talking about a power hitter type guy like Jim Edmonds is, and if he's got some oblique situations, those things are very aggravating, and it could be a while.
1-2 the count to Garrett. And a swing and a miss and another strikeout for Blanton. That's number 5 this afternoon. And 2 away here in the bottom of the 7th.
That's just the old high hard one right there, isn't it?
I was thinking that's probably what Casey McGee was talking about, how you think it's going to come down, but it just doesn't. It just keeps on rising.
You can see it. Right past Jody Garrett. He blew it right past him. We were talking about it earlier, Tommy, I would imagine Charlie Manuel, Rich Doobie, and even Joe Blanton hoping to get through 6 today. Yeah. And then some. He's trying to get through 7 with 1 more out.
Just misses off the inside corner, 2-0. Well, this Phillies pitching staff here in the month of May has really done a very nice job. 2.64 ERA here in May. I mean, that's to have that kind of offense.
You're going to win a lot of baseball games. especially with the, like you said, with the offense these Phillies bring night in and night out. If you start getting pitching like you're getting, and really what makes it so impressive, Tom, is it's a patchwork staff right now.
Yeah, Cole Hamels will start tomorrow here in Milwaukee. There's Cole. Jay Happ threw today, but he's on the disabled list.
The back end of your bullpen, Lidge and Madsen out.
There's Kyle Kendrick, who will start Monday's opener against the Pirates. The hat that you see there in the middle is Jay Happ. And there's Jose Contreras, who is basically filling in as the closer with the injury to Brad Lidge. There's ball 4. Zahn is aboard. Runners on first and second. So 2 runners on, 2 outs here in the 7th. Hey, next week, Fox will bring you one of the world's greatest sporting events for the first time ever on network television. Experience the passion and the pageantry with the UEFA Champions League final as Bayern Munich battles Inter Milan live from Madrid next Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific in high definition only on Fox. And that's crystal clear right there for Corey Hart. A 3-run home run makes this a 4-run game. 4th home run of the season for Corey Hart. Bernie Brewer likes that slide because it's not a solo home run.
Well, these Brewers just will not go away. Blanton just throws a first pitch. That looks like a changeup. He leaves it up. Way out of here to left center field. Blanton said, golly, I'm just trying to get one more out. Instead, the Brewers have put up a field goal here in the 7th inning.
Well, the Brewers made a run at the Phillies last night, made it 9-5, and the Phillies wound up holding on to that lead. Here's Joe Inglet pinch hitting, and he takes a fastball high and away. Corey Hart down in the number 8 spot for just the 2nd time this year. Picks up his 4th home run. Not because he just hit that 3-run home run, but Corey Hart has ability, and you would expect that he would be a force in this lineup.
He's just had a very stagnant year. I mean, like you said, he's got a world of talent.
Here's the 1-0 to England, and he hits a foul right over the head of Ed Cedar.
All right, there you go.
Here's Ed, who had a bird's eye view of that fan nearly losing his drawers as he was trying to get that ball.
Good change up there for strike 2.
Just missed with that breaking ball.
You can see Blanton wanted that one.
David Herndon loosening up in the pen. Rule 5 selection from the LA Angels of Anaheim. Opposite way, diving stop by Polanco to his feet. His throw in time to get Inglet. That's a heck of a play by Placido Polanco. Not only to glove it, but also to make the throw and make it in time to get England. Make his 2010 debut with the Brewers. See what he did down in Nashville. 13 1/3. He had 19 strikeouts and an earned run average of just over 2. He is a 27-year-old who has come up to try to stabilize this Brewers bullpen. He and a guy by the name of Chris Smith both had been pitching very well down in Nashville. Smith with 18 strikeouts and 12 2/3 and 12 saves, and there was some thought over the last couple of days that both of these guys, if not one of these guys, would get a chance to be up here to help Ken Maka and Rick Peterson at some point, and that point's come now.
I mean, he is a long, tall right-hander.
Over the top against Ibanez, and he starts him off with a fastball low, 1-0.
He's got a fancy mustache, too. You notice that?
He does. I did notice it. Must be some kind of contest going on down in Nashville.
That's fancy.
There are banners all around the stadium that show the Hall of Famer Raleigh Fingers with that handlebar mustache. He's not there yet.
No, he hadn't. Not quite the Raleigh Fingers variety. Tell you what, those old Brewers, all those guys were kind of woolly boogers, weren't they?
Well, Corbin Thomas was here last night. 268 home runs during his career. How about Robin Yount, Paul Molitor?
Pete Vukovich.
Fastball taken for strike one. 3-1 to Ibanez. They are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Milwaukee Brewers franchise. They moved from Seattle, where they were the Pilots, in 1969 to Milwaukee in 1970. Last night they wore the uniforms from the 70s. Well, the Phillies wore those uniforms from the 70s as well, as Ibanez draws the leadoff walk. And it's an interesting history that the Brewers have, because they were an American League team who in 1998 became a National League team. Something you don't see that often, making the transition from one league to another. Wilson Valdez, 1 for 4 with a run scored.
I'd almost forgotten about realignment. We're going to have a visit to the mound. Axford has come in and decided not to throw any strikes.
I think it's nerves.
Well, I think that is absolutely what it is. So his pitching coach Peterson going to come out and try to calm him down a little bit.
So Rick Peterson with a few words for Axford. Hey, next week it's a Fox Saturday Baseball primetime special as interleague play begins. The Yankees taking on the Mets, or the Cubs battle on the Rangers. The Red Sox take on the Phillies, or the Tigers square off against the Dodgers. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser, returns next week at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And catch This Week in Baseball at a special time. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Well, the Tigers have gotten an influx of young talent that has helped their cause this year. As Valdez takes a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Jim Leland, he can beat you when he's not talented. Now you start giving him some talented youth, man.
And Austin Jackson in center field, the Bosch kid who's played very well in left field.
We've got a rock-solid bullpen.
Plus you have Justin Verlander, who's anchoring that staff, who is just nasty. 2-1 pitch to Valdez. Ibanez goes a little hit and run as he shoots it the opposite way. Ibanez will be at third. He'll hold up there. And the Phillies have runners on first and third here in the 8th inning.
Both teams certainly found their hitting shoes here the last couple innings. Brewers have scored 7 runs in the last 2 innings. The Phillies and the Brewers 4 runs in the last couple innings, and here right back come the Phillies playing the hit and run. That's such pure, beautiful baseball at its finest. When the hit and run works like that, there's not a prettier play to watch in baseball.
It's now 16 hits, and it's surprising that you see Ibanez doesn't have a whole lot of speed taken off there, but even more surprising that Valdez is being given that sign. It's a guy who's starting to come on and hitting the ball a lot better. He's got 2 hits in each of his last 3 games, but that's a lot of faith that Charlie Manuel put in him. As Hoover stands in and takes a fastball for a strike.
And that's why the Phillies are so successful, is because they've got a manager that has faith not only in his veterans, but in his young players.
How much do you think Charlie Manuel thought about Axford struggling to try to find the strike zone, thinking, all right, Valdez is probably going to get a pretty good pitch to hit?
Well, I think what he did, because of the struggles at the time, Axford was a one-pitch pitcher. He was behind on the count. He's going to be a one-pitch guy, which means he's going to throw a fastball. And I think Charlie just rolled the dice that it's going to be something over the middle of the plate, something that his youngster can handle. And once again, Charlie was correct.
2 runners on the corners with nobody out here in the top of the 8th inning. Paul Hoover this afternoon is 3 for 4 with 3 runs scored and 2 RBIs.
96 miles an hour up and in. That'll get your attention.
That's a pretty good cheese right there.
I knew you'd say that when we were in Milwaukee.
Well, the calling card as Valdez is back standing. Hoover hits it sharply right at Counsell. There's 1. There's 2. A run scores. The Phillies lead it by 5. Paul Hoover does not get an RBI, but the contact allows Ibanez to cross the plate. Oh, it's time to update our MLB on Fox. Tune in to win. Bonus question: who's that tweeter? Season is going great. Really excited about how the team is coming together. What do you think the answer is? No, it's a guy who is very talented in his own right. From the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, it's Evan.
Evan Longoria.
I just knew it wasn't going to be Orlando Hudson.
It was kind of would have been surprised if it was Chase Utley also. Can't see Chase doing any tweeting.
Yeah, that would mean that he's speaking.
So Evan Longoria.
Chase talks with his bat and his glove.
And he does it really well, too.
Got that right.
Here's Greg Dobbs with 2 outs, pinch hitting for Joe Blanton, whose afternoon is complete after 7. Dobbs just 1 hit as a pinch hitter this year, 5th all time in Phillies history in pinch hits. Phillies have a good bench with Dobbs and Ross Blode. See where Dobbs sits. And he's 1 to tie Timmy McCarver.
Oh, the great Tony Taylor.
And Greg Gross. Greg Gross was a really good pinch hitter.
That's a nice little breaking ball that Axford's bringing to the mound as well.
Axford last year pitched at 4 different levels for the Brewers, including the big leagues. Pitched at 7 games at an earned run average of 3.52. Zahn working with him for the first time since spring training. They're looking fastball in. And a swing and a miss. That is 96 on the inside part of the plate from Axford. The Phillies do tack on 1 more. They take a 5-run lead into the bottom of the 8th. sponsored by Sears Blue Lawn and Garden Crew, by DirecTV for the most sports, period, and by Lexus. Unprecedented access means unprecedented values. Now through June 1st. Miller Park opened in 2001, and it is a very interesting facility when you think about the retractable roof. Mark, you're in Arizona most of the time, and it's a beautiful facility with a retractable roof. Chad Durbin will take over for Joe Blanton here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 14th game for Durbin, a 2.16 earned run average. And it's kind of changed, this facility has changed the complexion of baseball here in Milwaukee because there's never a threat of a lost game. County Stadium, which you played in, was right in the parking lot.
Might have been the coldest place I've ever played. County Stadium. It was there's something charming about County Stadium, but this place is just so beautiful. And being out in Arizona like I am, and with the retractable roof, Chase Field out there, it's for two different reasons. So for here, it's to keep out the cold.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Out in Arizona, it's to keep out the heat. Which, by the way, is right around the corner out in Arizona, that just unrelenting heat.
Whereas the cold may be at least by the boards for the time being here in Milwaukee. 2-2 the count to Ricky Weeks.
Walking around this beautiful city. I love Milwaukee. I love coming here. And the folks here, pretty much to a man, they're ready for some warm weather.
Weeks fouls it off and stays alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We mentioned the success that they've had here in Milwaukee, and it's a tribute to the young players like Ricky Weeks and Prince Fielder. Back in 2003, they drew on average 20,993. Well, they are shattering that these last few years. And Weeks is down on strikes, and there's one away. So Weeks walks away, 1 out. Well, time now for a DirecTV game break. The only way to watch every MLB game in HD, call 1-800-DirecTV. And if you did, you could have seen Willie Ibar with a walk-off home run against Jesus Colomé. And the Rays have defeated the Mariners 3-2. The only way to watch every MLB game in HD, call 1-800-DirecTV.
You surprised at all about the Rays' success? You a couple of years ago, I saw them in the World Series against the Phillies.
I think that they are a tribute to a long season of baseball and postseason when it comes to pitching. I think their pitchers who faced the Phillies in the World Series in 2008 came back last year weren't exactly the same because they had thrown so many innings, and I think it's different. They prepared differently. I think the Phillies went through that, but had a lot of guys that helped them along to get back to the World Series again, and I think that young Rays team is back to where they were from a pitching standpoint 2 years ago.
And they are good.
Well, they are good. Jason Worth over toward the line, retires Counsell. 2 outs. And with that win today, the Rays, a game up over the Yankees, 25 wins. And they're playing good defense.
Yeah, and they get timely hits. They're athletic. That's the best way I can describe them. They're just athletic. Their outfielders all have great speed. I think Carl Crawford is just a special baseball player. Evan Longoria, we heard from him earlier in his tweeting.
I'm a big fan of Ben Zobrist, too, because of what he's able to do, playing a little infield, playing outfield. Ryan Braun takes the pitch off the outside corner.
He's one of those really, really good players that nobody knows about, Zobrist.
Braun today is 0 for 3. And he's 0 for 7 in the series. Missed a couple of games because he was hit by a pitch by Tommy Hanson. Came back last night.
That elbow's still bothering him. He's got to wear that big pad.
Well, and Placido Polanco a few weeks ago was hit by Tim Hudson. And it took him, he was hitting the elbow, it took him a little bit of time to get his swing back. And I would think, and you've been hit by pitches, that if it hits you in a certain spot, it's tough to extend.
Yeah, the wrist, the elbow. Yeah, it's tough. And especially at the time that Ryan Braun was hit by that pitch, I mean, he was on fire. He was swinging it great. Now all of a sudden, not only the physical part, the soreness of the elbow, but then all of a sudden you miss a couple of games. Now you're not hot anymore.
Time is called with the count 2-1 to Braun.
Well, these Philly pitchers work fast. Blanton working very fast. Durbin. As a fielder, you love playing behind pitchers like this. They work fast, throw strikes. Let's go. And Durbin never leaving the mound. Here, give me a sign. Come on, give me a sign. I'm ready. Let's go. He's waiting on Braun to get in the box.
Braun hits it hard again, right off the front of the Phillies dugout. Well, it's so true. I mean, a guy like Roy Halladay, who is settled in as the Phillies ace, I mean, he's a guy that constantly is working quickly. And I agree with you. I think from a fielder standpoint,
keeps you on your toes.
Keeps you on your toes.
And plus, when you're throwing strikes, you're expecting the ball to be hit. You're expecting the ball to be put in play. Now, when you've got a guy working slowly and a lot of 2-0, 3-1 counts, a lot of times you can't help it. You're a human being. You can't help yourself. You might not be expecting that ball to be put in play, and all of a sudden there's the one that's a couple of steps away to your left, and you don't get to it because you're not on your toes.
In the dirt, and it's 3-2. Nice play by Hoover. Nobody on, but still, they knocked around a little bit. Prince Fielder waiting for a chance. 10-5 Phillies on top. Toward the hole, right by Polanco. A base hit for Ryan Braun, his first hit of the series. Tomorrow, NASCAR on Fox will bring you Sprint Cup Series racing as Jimmy Johnson tries to defend his title and take home the checkered flag for the second straight year. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing presented by Budweiser at the Dover International Speedway begins tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific in high definition on Fox. Prince Fielder's homered. He's also doubled. He scored 2 of the 5 runs.
He took a mighty rip
Sure
of a change up there and came up empty. That just hurts to watch.
Braun not being held on. He goes. Hoover doesn't pay him any mind. And it's 0-2.
Back-to-back change-ups, back-to-back swings and misses. All right, I'll put you on the mound here, Tom. You throwing another change-up here, or you going with something different?
I might go another change-up, but go a little farther away from Fielder.
With the fastball and beat him with it. He didn't get beat with this one.
That is a big man, and that bat looks so small in his hands.
I mean, he just gets it through the zone so quickly. That was the changeup. This time, Fielder was able to get a better look at it. I think right here, if I'm Durbin, I think the changeup is the right pitch, but I want it down in the dirt. I don't want it up there belt high where he just threw it. Because Prince Fielder, he tends to feast on those.
Pulls that one. He got right into his kitchen. Utley in shallow right, and Fielder's retired. So Chad Durbin comes on, strands one in scoring position. Phillies take a 5-run lead. Ben for Mustache and Beard. Keep your edge. By Michelin, a better way forward. And by Holiday Inn, stay you with the official partner of Major League Baseball road trips. Phillies lead at 10-5. Shane Victorino has been our game changer so far today. Brought to you by Lexus Hybrid. What a day for him again, Mark.
He's just absolutely dominating out of the leadoff spot. I mean, it just seems like everything he swings at right now, a rocket, is coming off his bat. He's been the difference today.
No, he's got 3 hits, and he is a triple short of the cycle. Now, we talk about the cycle being very difficult to come by. Only 289 of them have been recorded in Major League history.
Right.
Would you agree that the hardest thing to get is the triple?
I think so. I think so, especially for somebody like me.
Yeah, I guess for him it would probably be a little easier.
Yeah, he's a guy that's always amongst the league leaders in triples.
Well, he thought he had a triple his last time up. He doubled to right center field and put the brakes on rather quickly, coming around second base. Ahead 2-0 is Carlos Villanueva as the new pitcher for the Brewers.
And he's been pretty trustworthy for Ken Maka. The 3.26, a lot of that comes in his last outing where he gave up 4 to the Braves in just a third of an inning. But up until that point, he was just been terrific.
Opposite way for Victorino. Ryan Braun's got a good beat on it.
So no cycle today. Would have been fun to see.
Well, speaking of cycles, we talked about Gracie having what in 1993. May 9th, the double in the first inning, then the single. That came in the third. The triple came in the 7th inning. I wanted to see where this one went and how it was played. Well, there's the little kick. Very nice. And then the home run in the 9th inning. 11th Cubs player to hit for the cycle, and he is the last Cubs player to hit for the cycle. You look like a guy that would hit for the cycle.
That was very athletic. Skinny Mark Grace.
Who was that was in left field that misplayed that ball off the wall? Took a chance.
I think he got released right after that game.
Well, it took a very friendly kick in the friendly confines to get you that triple. Here's Placido Polanco, who's been on base 3 times. Count as 1 ball and 1 strike. I marvel at the guys that have collected more than 1 triple in their, or more than 1 cycle in their career. Always brings up that question: what's harder to do, collect a no-hitter or a cycle?
I think it's awfully close, isn't it, about the amount of no-hitters and the amount of cycles in the history of the game? I'm guessing it seems like cycles have outnumbered no-hitters in the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm going to say it's close, but I'll bet you a cycle is a little more common now than a no-hitter. We just saw a perfect game from Dallas Braden. Now I know that's the most difficult thing to do.
1-2 to Polanco, and he stays alive. Well, Dallas Braden became the 19th pitcher in baseball history to throw that perfect game. Threw a complete game last night against the Angels. Wound up losing it.
Lost the ball game.
He's the first pitcher since Rick Camp to throw a no-hitter in 1 start, and in his next start throw a complete game. It's a long time in between. Yeah. Off the end of the bat, a base hit for Polanco. Speaking of the perfect game for Dallas Braden, boy, he was on his game against the Tampa Bay Rays. This is not an easy team to no-hit.
Well, the last perfect game was Mark Burley against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Mother's Day. That's a great shot of
grandmother.
Yep.
Lost his mom to cancer. Grandma was right there, and even Grandma took a shot at A-Rod.
Yes, she did. Well, ran in the family, at least for a couple weeks. Here's Chase Utley, and Chase takes a pitch inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Phillies have had a base runner in every inning this afternoon against the Brewers. 10 runs on 17 hits. Talk about both of these teams being two of the best offensive teams in the league. Well, it's obvious the difference has been the pitching that the Phillies have put out there. You see what the Phillies did the first 5 innings. This was a kind of a pitcher's duel through the first 5, and the Phillies have kind of blown it open the last 4.
And also the fun thing about doing Brewer Philly games, Tom, is there's probably, you can count maybe 5 guys that are on the field that you could say, if you were starting a baseball team, I'd want to start it with this guy.
I agree.
This guy in the box right here, Chase Utley, his name certainly comes up. That man, Ryan Braun. Prince Fielder is another guy. Ryan Howard, former MVP.
That one 55 feet and then off the shoulder of Zahn over near Ryan Howard, and Polanco goes up to second on the wild pitch. Yeah, I think it's a good point, and I think it's one of the reasons why, you look at what the Phillies have done recently. Since 2007, they have the best record in the National League.
Add Roy Halladay to that now. But yeah, they do it. They just find all kinds of ways to beat you. When Jimmy Rollins is healthy, they can run you right out of the ballpark with Rollins and Victorino at the top of the lineup, or they can blast you out of the ballpark with home runs. And now they've added some pitching, and once they get the boys healthy, you have to look for them to maybe represent the National League again.
Well, they would become the first team since the Cardinals in the early 40s to go to the World Series 3 straight years. There's Brad Lidge, who they're hoping to get back very soon to close games. Utley went around on that pitch from being away to a tough pitch.
No, you talk about Dallas Braden with his perfect game. Well, Brad Lidge 2 years ago had a perfect season. Didn't blow a save.
And that carried over to the postseason. 48 for 48.
That's exactly right.
Regular season and the postseason. And that's something as a closer. I mean, Trevor Hoffman, who's statistically is the game's greatest closer, is in the Brewers bullpen. He has 596 career saves. I mean, he knows that a perfect season as a closer is very difficult to come by. There's Hoffman. 2 outs for Ryan Howard. Runner in scoring position here in the top of the 9th inning. And Zahn keeps that in front of him. Now, on the flip side, if you're the Brewers, this is not a lost cause. I mean, you figure the law of averages, you're 4-12 at home. It's going to turn. You expect it would, and with the kind of offense that they have, but they just have to figure out how to shore up this pitching staff.
They've got to find a way to get some outs late in the ball game.
Howard pops it up, mile high. Ryan Braun under it, and the inning is over. So Villanueva gives up a 1-out single. Strangelo in scoring position. We go to the bottom of the 9th. sir. Hey, our Tune In to Win winners. Congratulations to Larry Luzon for winning today's MLB on Fox Tune In to Win. Visit foxsports.com/tune-in to see results. If you missed this week's game, we'll make sure you play next week. It's pretty close.
Looks like it was a photo finish.
Well, the Phillies fans who have come here to Milwaukee, and they travel pretty heavily, have watched their team win Game 1, and now David Herndon is 2 outs away from securing Game 2. Herndon is a Rule 5 selection out of the LA Angels of Anaheim system. Did very well in spring training. The Phillies decided to keep him, and now he's come on. This will be his 13th game, and he's thrown a lot of ground ball double plays, which is what a sinker ball needs to do.
That's what you have to have, when, especially if you're going to have a guy, a Rule 5 guy. You know, now all of a sudden, if he can come in and get some big outs for you, are you kidding me? You're way ahead of the game.
Jody Garrett and a fastball high 1-0.
And because of injuries and because of situations in the Philly bullpen, Herndon's had to pitch in some bigger and bigger games than he did in April. And he's come up roses.
Well, he got a whopper of a double play in the first game on this road trip against the Colorado Rockies. Chase Utley made an unbelievable diving play up the middle to get him and the Phillies out of a jam against the Rockies, and that was his 6th double play ground ball in very few opportunities.
And you can see that late movement on the fastball, running down and away from Jody Garrett.
Two-one pitch to Garrett. Off the end of the bat, foul toward the second deck. The other thing, too, is when you have a kid like Herndon, and this is true for any bullpen, you have a 5-run game, you're trying to preserve the bullpen for the next day.
That's exactly right.
So these are important outs, even in a game like this.
Yeah, guys like Jose Contreras get some rest.
Opposite way. Ibanez over toward the corner, not going to get it. And that's going to be in play, and Garrett will pull it to second base with a double. So he's 1 for 3 since taking over for Jim Edmonds.
Well, another sinker. This one just stayed up a little bit. Garrett does a nice job of just going right with the pitch. Doesn't try to pull it. And he had missed a couple of lines earlier today. He didn't that time. And we were talking earlier about guys like Herndon, taking care of their bullpen mates by pitching an inning here and maybe giving Jose Contreras a much needed day off. And when you're 100 years old like Jose, you need a couple of days off.
Jose Contreras, Danny Baez, they've had a lot of the work for the Phillies with Brad Lidge being out. It does seem like Jose Contreras has been around that long, doesn't it?
He's been around forever. That doesn't count all the years he pitched in his native Cuba.
There's Baez next to him. Baez has had a big impact on Contreras in his transition to being a relief pitcher on a full-time basis. Zahn loses his bat, and he's down, no balls and 2 strikes. That's what I would do. I would wait for it to stop rolling, and then I'd pick it up.
Then pick it up, exactly. Fortunately, that one didn't go in the stands and hurt anybody.
And Zahn stays alive. No balls and 2 strikes.
Scattered his teammates there in the first base dugout.
Prince with a big smile on his face.
Prince always got a bat in his hand, doesn't he? He's in the dugout, he's got a bat.
It's almost as if he was born with a bat in his hand.
I mean, he is 8 batters away from his next at bat. He's got one anyway. I love it.
Outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Garrett's on second base. Phillies lead at 10-5. Phillies sitting atop the National League East. They began play today, game and a half ahead of the Nationals. And they're trying to take the first 2 games of this series against the Brewers and secure a winning road trip, which is one of the reasons why they've been so successful, is because they've been so good on the road. Here's the NL East standings. Washington has lost, and they trail up by 2.
Washington club. You know what? Good for them. Good for Jim Riggleman, a former manager of mine. Just good for them. You know, the doormat the last couple of years, and they're going to add Steven Strasburg sometime soon.
I watched his outing the other night for the Syracuse Chiefs, the AAA affiliate of the Nationals. 6 no-hit innings, 80 pitches.
Pretty impressive.
And the movement of those pitches that he threw. I mean, I'm not sure what Major League ready is, but he's pretty close, I would think. And he even was very humble about it afterward. He realizes he hasn't failed at AAA just yet. And he understands that there's probably going to need to be a little failure before he's, you know, a bona fide success.
Well, he had a great spring training for the Nats. And he's dominated in the minor leagues, starting at AA, and a couple of AAA starts now.
2-2, the count is on. And that one just missed. It's 3-2. You like it when those Aztecs do well, don't you?
That's right. You know, us Aztecs are self-sufficient.
There's Corey Hart waiting on deck. This will be the 8th pitch of this at-bat for Zahn. He's battled. And another ground ball foul. Phillies lead at 10-5 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Along with Mark Grace, I'm Tom McCarthy. Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Phils and the Brewers. Phillies will be on Fox Saturday Baseball next week when they take on the Red Sox. Jody Garrett is at second base. And the count 3-2 to Greg Zahn.
Brewer faithful still making noise here. They've seen a long battle between Zahn and Herndon.
And it's run by Zahn. A base hit to right. Garrett's held up at third. And runners on first and third with one away here in the 9th inning.
I'm sure Charlie Manuel would love to get Herndon through this 9th inning, but I would imagine he's going to have to make a phone call down to the bullpen and get somebody loose. It's still a 5-run game, but he obviously doesn't want this thing to get too crazy without getting somebody up.
Well, this is a hitter-friendly ballpark, so Jose Contreras is going to start to loosen just in case this gets into a save situation.
He's going to get a visit from his pitching coach, Rich Doobie.
It's amazing how the game has changed so much, Mark, where a 5-run lead in, you know, many ballparks, the managers just don't feel totally content with that. And they want to make sure that they close out a game even if it's not a save situation.
That's exactly right. My manager for the Arizona Diamondbacks was Bob Brenly, a great color analyst now for the Chicago Cubs. And Bob Brenly was, hey, I'll worry about tomorrow. Let's get the win today, and we'll worry about tomorrow.
So Corey Hart, who had a 3-run home run his last time up, will get another chance to bat with 2 runners aboard. 1 man down, bottom of the 9th inning. Phillies set up for 2. And a pop-up. Foul territory. Not a whole lot of room over there. Howard, though, will give it a look, and it goes back into the seats.
The mad scramble. Women and children are not safe when there's a foul ball to be had.
And there is the winner.
Men, evidently.
Yeah, there is the winner. Oh, I think he may have lost that one.
Yeah, he's getting pushed around by his buddies for booting it.
It'd be great if there was a little kid that just came out of the pile holding up that curl. 1-1 the count to Hart. And that's over for a strike. Paul Hoover wanted a check of the swing, but it was called a strike.
Well, it looked like kind of a cement mixer type slider there. Didn't do anything, but it was a strike and a much needed one.
Toward right center field. That's pretty well hit. Victorino on the run. He's not going to get it. Over his head. A run's going to score. Possibly two. Brad Fisher will hold up Zahn at third. An RBI double for Hart. He's got 4 ribbies today. And it's now a 10-6 game.
The Brew Crew not going quietly. They're going to make a little noise here in the bottom of the 9th inning. The tying run all of a sudden now is in the on-deck circle. Bang, a fastball down. Corey Hart just a nice, quick, short swing. Beats Shane Victorino on the fly. And Charlie Manuel's seen enough. He's going to have to go to his closer.
Well, that's going to be it for David Herndon. 2 runners on, 1 man down here in the 9th inning. And we've got a pitching change here at Miller Park. This year, he's entering his 15th game. Look at those numbers: 2-1 with a 0.71 earned run average, 16 strikeouts in 12 2/3, and he is essentially the closer right now for the Phillies, with Brad Lidge being banged up. And the other part of the story that makes it so great, that is Jose's mom, Modesta Comeo, who came to Philly to see him for the first time since 2003. She was still over in Cuba, and she arrived in the States just 2 weeks ago, and this is her first major league road trip. She's trying to stay warm here in the Milwaukee air.
Well, that just really makes you want to root for somebody.
It's a pretty impressive story, just to think about the fact that Jose, when he defected from Cuba, didn't see anybody from his family. His father passed away while his career was blossoming with the Yankees and the White Sox, and his mom saw him for the first time in Philadelphia on the last homestand, and now she's getting a chance to see him possibly pick up his first career save. With 1 out, George Kataris, the pinch hitter, fouls the first pitch off, and it's 0-1.
As you said, the Brewers have a very short bench. Kataris homered here last night. He's got to find somehow, some way to get Ricky Weeks up there to represent the tying run. Well, that's a split finger, and that thing just bites. Goodness, what a pitch. You can see why his numbers are so good. with the elite command he's had, only 1 walk in 12 2/3 innings, but also that fabulous split.
Well, he's come in with 2 runners in scoring position here in the bottom of the 9th inning, a 4-run game. A little high with that offering. It's 2-1. Talked to Brad Lidge today, the normal Phillies closer, and Brad, through today, said he wouldn't be available this afternoon. Maybe tomorrow, most likely when the Phillies return home to take on the Pirates next week. And the guitar is late on that pitch, and it's 2-2.
Fastball in the mid-90s still for Contreras. Locate it right there. Well, that's impossible to hit.
The 2-2 pitch. In the dirt. Hoover kicked it around a little bit, but he kept it in the area. It's 3-2.
With the breaking ball that time. Bounced it. So now Contreras put the good at bat.
Jose Contreras, 38 years old. He'll be 39 later on this year. His 7th year in the big leagues, and his first as a full-time relief pitcher. And there's ball 4. The bases are loaded, and the tying run is coming to the plate.
Very good at bat by Contreras. That's going to bring up Ricky Weeks. Ricky Weeks got 5 long balls this year. He's got big power.
Ken Maka's team, 5 come from behind wins. Their largest deficit, though, was just 3 runs. This deficit has been 5. They got a run already here in the 9th inning, and the bases are loaded, and a meeting at the mound.
These Brewers have got the Phillies talking to themselves, trying to decide what to do here with Ricky Weeks. You got to admire the grit that these Milwaukee Brewers are showing.
Well, when you have this kind of offense, I guess you always expect that you have a chance.
A lot of times when you get banged around late in the game, your bullpen can't get anybody out. A lot of times you tend to just maybe think about tomorrow. But the Brewers and their fans now starting to come alive as well.
First pitch, this is low, 1-0. Weeks is 0 for 3. He has struck out, he's lined out, and he's popped to second, or excuse me, 0 for 4. Strikeout was in his first at bat. Well, that's a tough pitch for Hoover to handle. 2-0 the count. And Rich Doobie's going to come out to the mound. You know, if Weeks somehow gets on, well, then you would assume that Ryan Braun will have a chance, and Fritz Fielder, who had the bat a few moments ago, and you were saying he was 8 batters away and still had the bat in his hand, he still might get a chance.
Well, I would imagine Rich Doobie, first of all, asking why he threw George Contreras a 3-2 split in that situation to walk him. And now it looks like Contreras is messing around with off-speed stuff, and I would imagine Valdez interpreting there.
After games, it's usually Danny Baez, Contreras' close friend, who does the interpretation.
I would imagine he had to interpret. Throw the ball over the plate, please.
2-0 the count to Weeks. The bases are loaded here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Weeks smokes one right past the back pocket of Zahn.
He was ready for that fastball. He was just a little too quick with it. That's a fastball in the inside corner. He was ready.
So I was thinking, he wants him to throw strikes, but not a good strike.
Well, and that's the thing. When you get it to the inside corner like Contreras just did, if you hit it on the barrel, it's very difficult to keep fair.
Right, the knees on the inside part of the plate. Looked like he took a little off that
back in there, didn't he, Tommy? Had some late movement right to the inside corner. Now we just locked up Ricky Weeks. What a pitch.
2-2. So Contreras against Weeks with the bases loaded, a 4-run game. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. 2 away.
Well, whatever the meeting on the mound was, I think it was, we have to pound him inside because he falls behind with some off-speed stuff. So after a meeting on the mound, let's go inside. Pulls it foul, locks him up, and then right over the top of it. Well, that is some big-time pitching right there. Ricky Weeks saw 3 nasty fastballs.
Now Craig Counsell 0 for 4 today. Does have a grand slam. And the first pitch misses outside. It's 1-0. That sounds strange to say that because Craig Counsell is not a home run hitter. It went pretty deep earlier in the game to the warning track. On the outside corner. That's a little paint right there at 93.
Nothing you can do if you're Craig Counsell. That's just a pitcher's pitch. And you don't even want to swing at that one, Tom. Let it pass. Go ahead and let it be strike one and take your chances with the next couple.
Trying to pick up his first ever save. The 1-1 pitch. Chopper slowly hit, foul off the third base bag. And it's 1-2.
Well, just another pitcher's pitch there from Contreras. Now, Craig Counsell, a guy that rarely, he usually in these situations is going to put a tough at bat on you. But even a disciplined hitter like Craig Counsell took a really defensive swing at that pitch.
Brewers fans are hoping they have another chance, and they do, even though Counsell's down 1-2. Now time is called. Paul Hoover wants to make sure they have the right pitch.
And bring in the interpreter.
See, Contreras doesn't have the glove up to the mouth. Valdez has the glove up to the mouth, making sure that nobody sees what he's saying.
I would imagine Contreras knows. Craig Counsell's a Wisconsin boy. He's probably not fluent in Spanish.
Here comes the 1-2 to Counsell. Just missed. It's 2-2. You've got the 38-year-old Jose Contreras against the 39-year-old Craig Counsell.
He zipped a fastball at 95, but it was below the kneecaps.
What would you throw here, 2-2?
I just think the fastball is the pitch that he's getting over the plate.
Slowly hit up the first base line, trickling foul. And we'll do it again.
He went with the fastball. He got the ground ball he wanted, but it was just a foot foul. And we'll do it all over again. And Craig Counsell putting an at-bat on Contreras like you just knew he would.
It's interesting. When the Phillies scored the 5 runs in the 7th, you didn't think it would come down to this, but we said before, Counsell has hit a grand slam earlier this year at a big ballpark in Washington. He tucked it right into the corner. So it's not like it's something that is beyond the realm of possibility. He has 3 in his career. Fastball right down the chute, a called strike 3, and Jose Contreras, much to the happiness of his family, picks up his first career save. He strands the bases loaded, and the Phillies win it. We'll wrap things up from Milwaukee right after these messages from your local Fox station.